Hello everybody and welcome to my Dueling Fates patch video. And I did a quick review of this and I am not a fan at all of this update. I think that it's probably one of the worst updates that Dota has ever had. And hopefully they change things with the quick patches. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So two new heroes, the first of which is Pangolier. So far from what they tell us, he's a melee carry, nuker, disabler, durable, escape, and initiator. There's a bit of lore if you want to go to the website, dota2.com/duelingfates, and check out it for yourself. But his ability, Swashbuckler, Pangolier dashes to a new position, assaulting enemies in the target direction with multiple quick thrusts, dealing physical damage and apply on-hit effects. So what that means is if you have items like Basher, they're gonna hit the enemy and bash them while doing this. So you can actually bash from farther away, and then you can use one of your skills later on, the shield bash, to get in range. So I'm not exactly sure how many attacks are being hit here. I'm sure if you stopped and counted it. So it looks like there's 15 attacks maybe. So that's 15 chances really fast to apply on bash hits to everybody in the straight line. So maybe this hero is an insanely good carry, because if you combo him with a Magnus and then use this, you're bashing everybody at once. But I'm not sure exactly if it would work like that, but it seems pretty good. Moving on to Shield Crash, Pangolier jumps in the air and slams back to the ground. Enemies around him are damaged and grant him temporary damage reduction the more heroes are hit. So once again, it looks like you want to combo this with some AoE stunner that can drag them all together like Magnus. And I really wish Valve would give us damage values and cooldown, because if this is a very short cooldown, this makes them really durable, but if this is like 30-second cooldown, it's really bad. So it all really depends on the cooldown reduction of this, onto whether it's good or not. But in a vacuum, the skill is very good, because if you can do 1v5 fights on your own and get a pick off and then leave with your ultimate, that's really good for your team. You can get Roshan off of that. So I really wish they gave us damage values. That would help so much in evaluating him. Next up, we got Heart Piercer. Penguin reads his enemies perfectly, deftly slipping his blade past defenses to give him attacks, a chance to slow the target, and fully negate enemy armor after short duration. So, as you can see by the video, you kind of want to combo all your skills together at once. But it's definitely good against tanky heroes, but against enemy heroes that don't have a lot of armor, this doesn't do that well. So the only thing you benefit from this against non-armored targets is the slow. So it's really hard to evaluate. You want to pick him against tanky heroes, and then have, with your Q, have all your effects apply like Basher and stuff, and Deso, they all get applied to everybody quickly. But he has anti-synergy with his skills against the picks that you want to make him with. So this hero is good in a vacuum, but for the heroes that we have in the game, he's not good, if that makes sense. Then finally onto his ultimate, Pangolier curves into a magic immune ball and thunders forward, damaging and stunning enemies he hits. Shield Crash can also be cast using this ability, is active to jump over obstacles, has a brief channeling period. So by obstacles, I'm unsure if that means cliffs as well, because if you can jump up a cliff and escape with this, that makes this ult insanely good. But if that means you can only jump around cliffs, or jump around creeps, it's slightly better, not as good. But like I said, if you can get a Magnus, like the two of you go in, you fight, you use your Q, then whenever they're all unstunned by RP, you use your Shield Crash, you get durable, you fight them, you get a pick off, and then you run out with your ult. Magnus gets out with Skewer. You guys picked off one or two heroes, that opens up Roche for your team. So, to my understanding of this is you can 1v5 and get pickoffs with this hero, but I don't know how well he'll do in team fights. Alright, next off to Dark Willow. Dark Willow creates a maze of brambles that latch onto enemies who walk into the thicket, damaging them and applying a root. So, this is a very good escape ability, but due to the video, it doesn't make it clear if you can walk through the brambles yourself, because it shows them just doing clear pathing through it. So, if you have to also evade them, just like your enemies will have to, it makes this skill incredibly bad, because you're just doing nothing but the same exact pathing as your enemy. But if you have the ability to walk through it, that makes it good because they can't follow you through this straight line. They would have to weave while you're just moving straight through here. Right. Shadow Realm. Dark Willow recedes into the Shadow Realm, becoming untargetable and gaining increasing bonus magic damage for her next attack the longer she remains in the shadow. So basically, if you're untargetable, that means nothing can hit you. But it's not like Puck where you're just gone. They can still time it well enough and hit you with a skill shot like Pudge Hook whenever they know it's going to end. So, again, we can't see the health values of this hero. We can't tell how tanky she is. We don't know if she's an int hero, so that makes it really hard. Because we can probably assume that she's going to be an int hero with her skill set. But if her health values and strength values are really low, this skill is pretty bad. Because you're going to get picked off by a hook or a stun projectile, and then it doesn't matter about the bonus damage. But if she's pretty tanky, you can get this off. You can probably pick off a support or two, use your ultimate later on to flee, and it's pretty good. Alright, Cursed Crown. Dark Willow bestows a cursed fake crown upon an enemy. After 4-second delay, the target and any other enemy nearby are stunned. So 4 seconds is a long ass time. Like, if you can imagine Gyro homing missile before the nerf, that was 2 seconds of setup time, and then it had to go and fly. So, that's 4 seconds is incredibly long. It gives the time the enemies to split out, but it's also a 4-second stun. So if you combo this, again, with like Magnus, you can skewer them into the enemy team, getting 4-second stun on everybody, then you can RP on top of that, get extra stun duration. If this does a lot of damage as well, this skill is incredibly good with the Shadow Realm, because you can do large amounts of magic burst. Maybe she's an offlaner, because she has her Q where she can escape. So maybe you go like offlane Willow, mid Puck or something, you combo all this, Puck ults, then you use Cursed Crown, they're all grouped up, they're all trying to run away. They try to run away, the leash breaks from Puck ult. If they stay together, they get the 4-second stun. So it seems like both new heroes, you kind of want to group everybody up together and keep going off of that. But I'm very optimistic about this hero. She seems pretty good, but it all will depend on her health values. Bedlam. Dark Willow's companion Jax circles around her, dealing damage to nearby enemies, cannot be used while Terrorize is active. So it's kind of like Io's balls that just circle around her, and it seems to do repetitive damage unlike Io's balls. So if you get some spell damage onto this, you get a Veil as well, you use your W to increase your magic damage, you could be doing a lot of rapid fire damage against enemies. And once again, just combine this with Puck or an RP from Magnus, and you're keeping them all locked down, doing large amounts of continuous damage, and there's nothing they can do about it. Terrorize. Dark Willow's companion Jax strikes fear in her enemies, causing them to run towards their home fountain. Cannot be used while Bedlam is active. So from looking at this, it has like a 1-second channel time, so your enemy's going to be able to see this. So you're going to need to hit them first, because if they have blink, they're just going to completely avoid this. You're going to miss your skill shot. It's not going to be as effective as you thought it could be. So compared to Lone Druid's Terrorize on his bear, this seems incredibly leaked without knowing the duration. We see them go out of fog, so it looks maybe like 3 or 4 seconds long. It's gonna give you a chance to flee, but why would you want to flee with this if you already have your Q to get away? It seems counterintuitive to me, and if they're fleeing, you're gonna have to chase them down, which is also counterintuitive for your Cursed Crown, where you want them to stay close. or for your Bedlam where you want them to stay close and so you can do repetitive damage. So I'm not sure how strong this ult will be. Maybe it's just the best ult in the game, and maybe it's just the worst. We'll just have to wait to see. Alright, so you got some cool new effects and stuff, cosmetics, courier, ward, rank seasons. So basically now instead of MMR, every 6 months there's going to be leagues that which you can go into. And sure, both MMRs reset and accurate for all players, which would lead to better quality games. So basically what this does is, for higher MMR players, it pushes them all down into the top tier league, and it just gives them shorter queue time. That's pretty much all this does. You're pretty much going to be put with the same exact players every single game if you're in the lower MMRs, but it's just a quality of life change for higher MMR players, and it's not going to affect your gameplay at all, so you don't have to worry about this. Guide system upgrade. This helps out a lot for newer players if you want to learn the heroes, try different builds. Turbo mode, pretty good for newer players as well, but it speeds up games, gives extra gold and XP per in the game. But I don't like this for boosters and account buying, because you can just speed up a game. You get bonus, or you get faster XP to level up your account to 20. You can do the new ranked mode faster. So it's good for newer players to learn the game faster, but it's also bad for veteran players because they're going to be placed with newer players that have bought accounts at high MMR levels. I'm not a fan of it, but you know, whatever. Ability draft update, new quality of life changes, pretty good. Version update, they need a new model, ping wheel. Looks like vision, so you can ping that. There's 2 visions, so it's probably we need wards here or enemy ward here as well. And I like that a lot, because sometimes people, if they have bad communications, like if your teammate's Russian or speak Spanish, they'll just say ward here, and you're not unsure if that means that you need a ward there or an enemy ward's there. So this helps out a lot. Like they can say we need ward here, the enemy ward is here, and it's going to help a lot with the communication barrier. New legacy pack, voice pack for Juggernaut. If you got that, nice. All pick drafting order is now A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A, A, B. So this just ensures that the team with second pick doesn't immediately have a counter to the enemy team, because I believe the last pick was A, B, B, A, B. So then second pick just got 2 counters in a row. So now what this means is A team will pick, B team will get double counter, then A team gets the double counter off of them, and then it just keeps going. So this is a quality of life changes to solo play. Each day, 10 heroes are selected automatically as bonus heroes for the day. Bonus heroes provide you with a free mango on selection. Cannot be sold. I am not sure how to feel about this. If this is in ranked, I don't want this at all. Like, you should not just get a bonus for picking a hero. Like, if you're getting free stuff, that lowers the skill cap of the game. You should have to work for everything in the game. If you want a free 100 mango, you should have to pay for that. 100 gold mango. But if this is just unranked, it's going to help new players. They're going to feel like they're stronger. They got better heroes. So as long as this stays out of ranked, I'm fine with it. But if it stays in ranked, it's going to be really bad for the game. Randoming no longer gives bonus gold, and instead selects a hero from the set of bonus heroes and grants an extra Iron Branch. So instead of getting the 150 gold, you're basically getting the 150 gold in items, which once again, I would be fine with this if it happened for randoming, not just 10 heroes get randomly selected. Oh, okay, I see how it is. So basically the 10 heroes that are in the hero pool for the randoming, they have the mango, correct? As bonus heroes for the day, selected from the set of bonus heroes. This is very odd how they say this. So either there's one of 2 options: either just 10 random heroes get a free mango, or option B, only the 10 heroes that you random get the mango. But because it says an extra additional Iron Branch, I think it's option 1 where they just get the mango, which I do not like at all. But if it's only random heroes, I'm fine with that, because it forces your money into a situation for randoming, rather than you just winning lane because you have like a Wraithband really early. Alright, removed repicking, so if you get your random, you're screwed with it if you don't know how to play, which means less people are more likely to random. Pretty good. Middle lane no longer has an additional melee creep, so less XP in the mid lane means that they can't gank as well or get more gold, which is pretty good. Creeps now meet closer to each team's respective safe lanes, so that's a bonus to safe lanes as it makes it easier to get blocks off. If you were an offlaner like Clock or Earthshaker, you could just fissure and then get the lane incredibly close to your tower, and it makes it incredibly hard to harass you out of lane. So now it's pretty good against those heroes that can keep it closer to their lane. Denies XP granted to the enemy. The player being denied reduced from 70% to 25. Denies XP granted to the enemy. Reduced. So it reduces the XP the enemy gets whenever you deny a creep. So denying becomes incredibly important. Denying XP gained by the denier reduced by 30% to 25%. So basically, it's rewarding you less on your own XP end for getting the deny, but because you're denying, it's giving the enemy less XP. So you're getting the XP difference is greater, but you're getting less of that greater XP. So this is arguably a better change to the deny if you're the safe laner. Neutral killing lane creeps is now considered the same as the enemy creeps killing them. It's not a deny and gives full XP. You must deny the creep yourself to deny its XP. So, neutral killing lane creeps. What does that mean? Is that a creep or a camp creep? I have no clue, but I assume that basically if your creeps kill a neutral creep, it would count as a deny, but now it doesn't. Total wave XP, the creeps increased extra XP to pick up for the deny. Melee creeps increased, but range creeps decreased. Yeah, so it basically evens itself out, but just denying the range creep doesn't pretty much win you the lane if you get 2 or 3 of them in a row, which is good for the offlaner now. But continuously denying the melee creeps will help out the safe laner a lot more. Melee creep bounty increased by 4, range creep bounty increased by 12. So 24 extra gold per wave means you're going to get faster items as a safe laner, faster boots for supports if they get 1 or 2 of them. Pretty much good all around. First neutral creep spawn increased from 30-second interval to 1 minute. So this is a really big nerf to jungler. This basically means that you're going to have to start in lane for the first minute, sap a bit of XP from your offlaner or safe laner, and then go into the jungle if you want a jungle. Which I don't like at all, because a lot of people are going to look at this and be like, jungling is not viable anymore if I had to soak XP for a minute. So this kind of forces junglers out of the game a bit, and people are going to frown upon junglers more than they do now, and they're gonna say that junglers pretty much don't offer anything for the first minute, and then they go in the jungle. So from a player perspective this is bad, but from a game development perspective this is good, and it pretty much balances itself out from that perspective. Base hero kill XP bounty for level 1 through 5 reduced, and you still get extra XP for killing heroes from the assist formula. So basically you get to snowball less earlier for just killing over and over, which might nerf roaming a bit, because then you have less incentive to kill the mid to get your mid ahead, although it still will be good because your mid will be getting XP and gold, but you might want to sit now in the off lane or sit in your safe lane as a support to get more XP now. XP range increase. This helps the offlaners with the deny chance now and supports harassing them, so they can sap XP from farther away. XP required from 1 to 2 reduced. That is pretty fucking big, because a lot of heroes have a power spike at level 2. Like Clock, for instance, you get Battery Soul and Cogs, so then you can pick off supports. So with this range and with the XP reduction, you can just sit outside, wait till 2, run up, kill a support, and then you pretty much can equalize in the lane now. XP required to go from level 2 to 3 increased from 360 to 400, so it pretty much just balances out. It takes less to go from 2, but it takes a while to go to 3, which 3 is also a big jump for most supports. 3 gives you either all 3 spells that you need or 2 in an additional spell so you can do a lot more ganking. So I think this is a bigger buff to offlaners and a nerf to supports here. Tier 1 tower increased from 1400 HP to 1600. Good buff. Tier 1 fell way too fast, but with Glyph, it didn't fall as fast, but now you kind of want to use Glyph offensively with the buff that's going to get. Heroes now start with the TP scroll. TP scroll start on cooldown at the beginning of the game. I hate this because as a support, I love smoke TPing, so now I can't smoke TP at all to get a ward down mid, and it's a really big nerf to that. I think that everybody should get a TP at the start of the game, but if you want to pay 50 gold at the start, it goes off cooldown, so you can TP and smoke and ward. But currently, I don't like this change at all. It means that every support has to run the lane to ward, or you have to give your offlaner his ward rather than TPing mid, warding, and then running bot and warding for them. That way there's no chance of them getting caught and the ward being seen. So overall, I think this is a terrible nerf to supports. Shrines and Glyph removes shrines from the base. That's good. It basically means if you can high ground faster rather than them sitting behind using all 3 shrines and then you having to go. Glyph now causes your creeps to become invulnerable for the Glyph duration. This is insanely good for pushing if you just have a massive wave that you've built up. But I wonder if this works for creeps like Chen creeps with the neutrals, that you can just make them invulnerable. That would be an insane buff to Chen. And I hope it doesn't do that, because you could basically, whenever they're low, stampede into their base with like Centaur, Chen, Enchantress, front them down with creeps. They're about to die, you just Glyph, they're all invulnerable. But if the invulnerability also makes them not able to attack, I think that's balanced. But if they're invulnerable and able to attack, that's kind of broken. Creeps. Extra siege creeps now spawn in 30 minutes instead of 40 minutes, so this pretty much just speeds up the game. You want to end whenever you get that double siege creep wave at 30 minutes. Siege creep increased by 50 HP. I think that means they can survive an extra tower shot, and it's probably easier to last hit them under towers. Fixed extra lane creep spawning a minute too late. Once at 15. Okay, so basically just a bug fix. Lane creeps upgraded amount is now capped at mega creeps. So basically, if you had super creeps and the enemy team had mega creeps, if you waited 4+ hours, your super creeps would get stronger, but now they cap at mega creeps, and so basically super creeps and mega creeps are equal at 4 hours. Armor cannons, armor formula adjusted from 0.06 armor to 0.05. No clue. Seems like nerf. Armor per agility is rescaled from 1 to 7 to 1 to 6. So that's a buff to agility. So for every 6 points of agility you have, you gain an armor. So if a team has a lot of agility heroes, you're going to want to get a lot of magic nukes on your team rather than physical damage. Tier 1 tower armor increased. That's better for them. They're stronger, harder to take down the physical heroes like Terrorblade level 1 or wherever he gets his meta. Tier 2 and 3 towers increased, good. Tier 4 armor increased. Roshan base armor increased. Okay, so pretty much everything just got armor increase. Tier 4 tower HP regen, so you can chip away at those, but ancient HP has been increased. So this makes for comeback games a little easier. Rather than having to defend your ancient while it heals up, you can push out more. We worked mid lane for Dire. Both sides can now walk along the edges without being hit. I guess this means for towers, because Dire, you would, if you were coming in, if you're on the Radiant side and you were trying to gank the Dire mid, you would have to come from the top rune, because if you came from the bottom rune, the tower would see you coming that way. But now with this buff, I'm guessing that you can go through the bottom rune tower side and gank from there without the tower seeing you, which I think that's pretty fair. Gave a pretty big bonus to ganking from the Dire side, or ganking from the Radiant. Adjusted mid lane ramps to be narrower. I like this. Less people can go down mid now, so kind of is a nerf to 5-man midding. Moving mid shrines closer to the primary jungle area, so this just basically means that mids are going to have to walk a little bit longer if they want to shrine up. But that's also a buff to safe laner, because if it's closer to the safe laner may just be like, hold the shrine, I'm coming in a bit. Swapped offlane shrines and bounty runes. So does this mean that for the Radiant Shrines on the low ground, which means that's easier to gank, and the bounty rune for the Radiant is also going to be easy to gank on the top shrine. Just the offlane terrain to be wider, easier to run away from things now. Move primary jungle bounty runes closer to safe lane camp areas. Okay, so this basically means it's going to be easier for either the floor or the carry to pick up the runes. We worked Dire safe lane jungle area. It was pretty spread out, so hopefully it's closer. Safe lane hard camp adjusted. Primary pullable to the off lane or connect to the small camp. Alright, quality of life change. Moved one of the ramps going down the jungle camp near each of the safe lanes. That's pretty good for supports on the safe lanes. It means that you have one less area to get ganked from. So you're going to be safer a lot more. And you can feel safer pulling, especially if you have a ward spotting out. Remove the following ward spots: Radiant Ancient Roshan, bottom Radiant Rune. I wish they gave us map pictures with this. Radiant Ancient Roshan. So that's the giant cliff right next to the Radiant area that gives you sight on the Ancient Roshan and one of their camps. Bottom Radiant Rune. Wow, that's like the primary ward spot, bottom Radiant Rune. So taking that away is pretty big. Dire primary jungle near Ancient Camp. Okay, so they're taking out a lot of cliffs. And I don't know if I like that. I mean, multiple miscellaneous terrain line of sight adjustments. Shifted bottom rune power up slightly. Yeah, this was bugged where you would basically be under the rune and click it, but it didn't pick it up. Even though you were basically right next to it and you would be there. Adjusted ramp to Dire safe lane jungle area to be narrower. Alright. Swap to medium hard camps primary jungle. Makes it easier to pull now. Or no, that's in the primary jungle. They really nerfed jungling with this patch. Okay, adjusted tree positions, made minor adjustments to low ground tree positions. Reduce size of the ramp going to the Radiant safe lane jungle from the Dire off lane side. So once again, you're being funneled and being punished for 5-man ganks. Adjust the position of the Radiant safe lane hard camp up slightly. Slightly decrease the size of the ramp going below the Radiant secret shop, so more funneling. I think what they really want to do with this patch was just stop 5-mans because they were so strong. You basically would get 6 on everybody in 5-man a lane. So now this stops it. If like you get spotted out going towards the lane, you get funneled into a ramp, and then the enemy team can use some AoE spells to get you all grouped up. Shifted the ramp on the Dire off lane. Minor adjustments to tree layouts, adjusted ramp. Alright, Roshan. This is pretty fucking big. Third Roshan kill now drops a single use consumable refresh orb. Cooldown is independent from refresh orb. This, I don't like this at all. Because if you're ahead in the game, you're going to get Roshan, and then you're going to get further ahead. So now with Roshan on the third kill, you get Aegis, you get Cheese, and now you get a one-time use refresh orb. And I don't believe in win more situations. I believe that you should have an advantage if you're winning, but it shouldn't be win more, win more, win more. It should be, alright, we got a small advantage, and I think Aegis was fine with that. But now you get Aegis and Cheese, and now you get this. So most likely Aegis goes on your carry or mid, Cheese goes on the other one of the two options, and then Refresher goes on one of your supports or your offlaner with a big ultimate, like Magnus offlane or Oracle, and Oracle's just going to keep 2 people alive now with this. So this change is good. It's a good gameplay change, but it's not a good decision change because you're just going to get further and further behind the more Roshans the enemy gets. Here are respawn timer for 1 to 5 rescaled, so less cooldown timers means you can run back to lane faster and feed more. That's great. Neutrals now sleep at night. They have 0 aggro range when sleeping. Okay, so ganking junglers at night will be very good because they can't deny themselves to jungle creeps because they can't just run in. They will have to attack it from a range and then they have to run into the camp. So at that time, that gives you time to kill it rather than just running by the camp, getting aggroed, and denying themselves. So it's a small buff to that. Or special neutral pull aggro. Alright, so it makes it harder to do special pulls like mid and stuff. Neutral lane creep aggro is now based on which neutral spawn area they're in. So does this mean that you can't do pull throughs if you pull from the easy camp? Yeah, we lost. Captain's Mode now has an extra band, so that means you don't have to choose between Venom or Viper. You can do both of them. That's pretty good. Illusions now deal 80% less damage to Roshan rather than dying. That makes PL slightly more viable for Roche. Illusions now benefit from health and mana regen. That is a pretty big buff to Alchemist and any hero like PL that wants to get a heart. Because generally if you spawn Illusions at low health with like CK or PL with a heart, now they were weak before, but now the fact that they can regenerate means that you can keep them out for longer and you can do more stuff with them. Roshan's slam damage increased. Fountain damage increased a bit. People were complaining that fountains are so weak because people can dive you without dying, especially someone like PL or PA with evasion. Fountain mana regen increased, and fountain HP regen increased. So fountain's more useful now. So whenever you're getting camped, you're harder to die. Net worth ranking factor, how much the richest. Okay, so basically, if you're worth more, if you have more net worth, you're gonna be worth more to poor people that get kills on you. Hex no longer can be dispelled. That's pretty big buff. Add a UI indicator for inventory to show meat state. It's a buff. Not at all. A new option requires stop to interrupt your channeling abilities. I love that, because as an Oracle player, you would Q and accidentally move, and then you would break it, and you'd have less of a stun or a root duration on them. Remove the remaining unique attack modifiers, so you can stack lifesteal and stuff now. Arcane Orb. Okay. Is Vlad's OD viable now? And Mana Break. So that's a buff to like PL and AM right there. Remove cliffing restrictions for Rubik, Magnus, Darkseer, etc. So does that mean you can't cliff people anymore? Or does that mean you can cliff easier? Because if you can cliff easier, I love that. I feel like if you're stupid enough to get around a cliff level 1 with like a Rubik or Magnus, you should be punished and put on that cliff. But hopefully that means you can clip people up there. Remove Pudge and Vengeful Spirit's free pathing on terrain cliffs. Not sure where that is. Roshan now upgrades every minute rather than 4 minutes, so it gets harder to kill. But it's rescaled the same, just smoother, so I think this is a small nerf to people like Ursa and Huskar that want to do Roshan earlier. Okay, you can cliff again, that's good. I like that a lot. Fix magic damage sources from attacks not being blocked by berry type, pipe, wood, flame guard. Small buff to those items. Improve stat count on readability on buff icons, just general UI change. Heroes with turn rates of 0.4 improved to 0.5. So a lot of people are going to be turning faster, which is good for Mirana because you want to land arrows. Shaman, you want to get your stun off. Tide, you want to do absolutely nothing. But generally, just quality of life changes for these heroes. You can now see enemy mana regen values. Previously, you could only see HP regen. Okay, that's pretty good, so you know when you can go in and when you can't. Regenerations changed to a static percent, so it scales better late game. Neutral abilities pretty much affects Chen and people that use hoods. Buff to the Centaur. Nerf on the damage though, so you can stun faster, which ganking Chens will like, but less damage, so ganking mid is less effective. Thunderclap. Cast time reduced, but damage reduced as well. It looks like pretty much the same exact thing for everybody, just cast time reduction, but damage reduction, which I'm okay with. Neutral Cloak Warrior, that's might be good now. And Purge works on cycle and units. Those two are really good. Courier cost increased from 100 to 200. Alright, good. So as a 5, I'm going to be poorer. Ground Courier movement speed increased. It's harder to snipe with Bounty Hunter and Riki. Flying Courier speed is increased, harder to snipe. Fire Courier can no longer be purchased. Courier now upgrades automatically at 3 minutes. So basically, you're going to be poorer at the start as a support, but now you don't have to waste the extra money on a Flying Courier. So you can get your boots faster. So it's an early game nerf to supports, but a investment for the supports later on. So Flying Courier now has a Courier Shield instead of haste ability. That's a bit of, without knowing the shield health, if this is just basically invulnerability for 2 seconds, that's pretty good. But if it has a health amount, that's pretty bad. I would rather be able to fly things over a tree than have it have a shield. Courier can no longer refill bottle. I don't think much people bottle crow anymore. Courier can no longer be purchased more than once, so you can't feed, but that's also a nerf late game whenever your courier dies and you need to get it to the secret shop. Remove the following items from the side shop: Quarterstaff, Orb of Venom, Blaze of Attack, Sage's Nest, Stout Shield. Stout Shield's pretty big, because now you can't get PMS if you go for the double agi things, whatever they're called. Ring of Protection, or Ring of Regeneration, Ring of Health, Bottle. Okay, so people that want to go for Battle Fury are going to be slightly nerfed, and people that want to get a defensive item like the shield, I forget what it's called, but the Vanguard, they can't get the Ring of Regeneration and stay in lane, so it's going to be harder for those carries. And Bottle now gives 1 charge, or it's removed. The following items in the side shop: Ring of Protection. That's very good, because generally you want to start with Ring on heroes that go, or you want to start with the Sage's Mask with heroes that go for the Bassi ring in the offlane. But now that the ring's there, you can start with the Sage's Mask rather than the ring, and then have to cur out the Sage's Mask. So now you can build the Ring of Bassi at the side shop, which is good. Added the following items to the secret shop: Voidstone, Ring of Health, Bottle, full charge. No PMS in game. That's a pretty big nerf to a lot of heroes. Bottle at full charge. Okay, so if you're an offlaner, which offlaner would want a bottle? Clockwork might if he's being harassed a lot. Maybe Pit Lord because you need the mana, but you're already going soaring. So I don't know if this gives any big buff, but it's nice knowing that it's there. Zorper wards increase from 60 to 80, another nerf to supports, but you get more XP for dewarding. Tango cost reduced from 125 to 4 uses to 150 for 5. Alright, so my mid's going to be asking for 3 tangos now. Smoke of Deceit increased, cost increased. Alright. So basically they're nerfing supports, and they're trying to force cores into buying more support items. Gauntlet cost reduced. Slippers reduced. Mantle reduced. So these are all just buffs to people that enjoy early game stats. Wraith Band of Recipe reduced. Good for agi heroes. Good for people that want to get Atos. Good for people that want to get Veils. Oh, this is increased. Okay, so that's bad for people that want to get Veils. But better overall. Because people like Necro that get like 2 nulls very early do a lot of damage. So an extra 10 gold is 10 or 20 gold is going to be a lot in the grand scheme of things. Wraith Band no longer gives +3 attack damage, is now given an additional 1 to +1 primary attribute. So you're getting, instead of 3 damage, you're getting 1 plus whatever your other attribute gives. So if you're agi, you're closer to getting armor. If you're you're closer to getting spell damage. Strength, you get a little bit of extra HP regen. It's arguably better against heroes that want to stay in lane longer, but worse if you're going these items for the damage. Veil no longer provides damage, good, but it gives int increase, so pretty much you're getting 2 extra damage and some spell damage increase. Dagon no longer provides 9 damage, but gives 2 extra int, so 2 extra damage if you're an int hero. And some mana regen. Drums of Endurance, no longer 3 damage, but 1 extra strength. So basically they're nerfing, with all these, they're nerfing stats. They're nerfing damage, but giving you the stats in return. So you want to be building drums now on strength heroes, and you want to be building Atos on strength. You want to get Dagon on int heroes rather than just vaguely anybody, because anybody could get these items that could benefit their team. Perseverance no longer gives 10 damage, that's good. Lincoln Spear no longer gives 15, so it's more defensive. Refresh Orb no longer gives 20 damage. Mana regen increase though, so it's arguably better for heroes like Tide that want the extra mana regen so they can do all of their spells at once. Lotus Orb no longer gives 10 damage. Aetherlent, item reworked. So normally gives spell amp, but now it takes it away for increased cast range and mana up front. So I like this change because it was very cheap for heroes like Tinker that can get that extra spell amp or Pudge, because they have pure damage spells, and any spell amp on pure damage is the best thing that you can get. So now you're going to still get it on Pudge and Tinker for the cast range, but it's better for the enemy since you don't have that spell amp to do extra burst damage. Battle Fury now requires a Demon Edge instead of Claymore. Cost is 400 cheaper. Oh, Claymore and Broadsword. So you're paying more up front for it, but it's cheaper. So you can't just buy the Claymore, then the Broadsword. You have to buy the Demon Edge up front, which you're getting more damage for it. Or your damage is actually reduced, but the cleave is increased. So you're going to want this on people that want to be doing lots of AoE damage, and with the Demon Edge, you might even get it on Seven, because he likes crit chance with his huge amounts of damage. So if you can get that extra cleave, you do so much more damage. It's a speed increase, or reduced. I don't know if I like that. Supports really only get brown boots, and they're already so slow, most of them. So the fact that you're reducing their movement speed is... well, you're reducing everybody's movement speed, but a lot of supports are slow for a reason. So the game's going to feel a lot slower because of this. Boots of Travel building prioritization range increased. I like this a lot because sometimes I would just click down mid lane trying to get to my tier 1 tower, but I'd accidentally go off towards the shrine in one of the corners because the range was wrong on it. So this is going to help a lot with getting out further. Bloodsound now requires Perseverance instead of Soul Ring plus Recipe. So more gold up front rather than buying them in pieces. Initial charges increase from 12 to 14, so you get a lot more mana regen at the start, but it no longer heals your team, which I think is fine, because on heroes like Storm, you want to get in, get the kills, and get out, and now with this increase, you'll have more mana so you can get out faster. Flutter duration reduced from 4 to 2 seconds, and Flutter no longer disables evasion. So, arguably a buff to people like Drow who want to get in, get the kills, and then get out. But, yeah, pretty good. Desolator reduction, pretty good against people that want to split push. Or it's bad for people that want to split push, but good if you're against them. No longer dispels. That's a huge buff to Necro. No longer has charge limits though, and no longer upgradable. So you have infinite charges, and cooldowns increased. So it's basically just a slowing item now that you can use forever, and also has mana break. It's a change, but I can't tell if it's good or bad until I play with it. I like that that's there though. Active bonus attack speed increased, so your team gets bonus attack speed. That's good. Projectile speed increased, buff to Morphling. No longer requires Orb of Venom, it's cheaper. But although you do like getting Orb of Venom, because that's just 15 free damage. You get that early, and then you move it into your backpack so you can finish it. So, it's, in a way, it's kind of a nerf to Skadi, but it's a buff to the price of Skadi. Cooldown increased from 20 to 23. Basically just harder to get in position and save people now. Glimmercake can no longer be disassembled. I don't think in most cases you wanted to though, but it's a nerf in the cases that you would want to. Hurricane Pike now requires a Wraith Band instead of 500 gold recipe. So you're getting extra stats. Where are you? I'm not sure if the recipe gave you stats, but if it didn't, now you are getting extra Agi stats. Irontown has been removed from the game. Like I said earlier, with the 1 minute timer nerf to jungle, they're pretty much just saying you can't jungle in this game anymore, and they're forcing you to either go dual lanes or roaming. And I don't like that at all. You should have the option to do whatever you want in this game, and it feels a lot like League now, where you're forced to do the same rules pretty much. Like, it was a very strong item. They could have just nerfed it a lot more rather than just removing it from the game. Javelin now provides 25% accuracy, so when you're building MKB, you can have a bit of accuracy against PA now. Cost reduced, that's good. No longer grants 10 damage though. So you're trading some damage off and some base damage off for more chance to hit, which is fun. Yeah, Ice Rock don't want to have any junglers. Accuracy proc now deals 100 magic damage. Okay, so basically you're losing 10 static damage, but you have a chance at doing a lot more damage at once. So it's more of a burst utility. I wonder if this stacks. Could I just go 6 javelins and have 600 magic damage nukes? That might be interesting. It's probably stupid, but it's interesting. Alright, Basher. Recipe cost increased. Good. This item was way too easy to get on heroes like AM. No longer grants 10 damage. Bashes cannot be evaded. So, it's a buff against illusion heroes. It's a nerf against supports though, because you get less damage. It comes along later. You can't just get in bash and get it out. Damage proc increased though. So, you're getting 15 extra damage on the bash, but you're getting 10 damage less. I think that's a fair enough trade. Abyssal Blade no longer grants 10 damage. Bashes can be evaded. Same thing as Basher. Same thing. It's worse earlier, but better late. Monkey King Bar. Old recipe. New recipe. 1 Hyperstone, so you're attacking really fast. Javelin, which gives you extra accuracy now. And provides 60 attack speed and 75% accuracy plus 60 pure damage per proc. So that goes through armor, through magic immunity, everything. The attack that procs the accuracy also procs the pure damage, pierces spell immunity. So no matter what, you're always, if you hit them, you're always doing this extra 60 damage if you're hitting with the accuracy. And it pierces spell immunity, so people like PA just can't BKB and man fight you now. You have the option to man fight them. It's pretty good, but I don't like the option for carries to have pure damage. I think it's way too strong, but it's there, so if you want to pick it up on somebody like Sniper, that's good. Moving on to Lincoln Sphere. Cannot manually target yourself with Lincoln Sphere, so you can't just tell people you have Lincoln Sphere by putting it on yourself. So, less people being retarded, that's good. New recipe for Wand, Magic Stick, Iron Branch, Enchanted Mango. So, you're getting less stats with it, but you have some HP regen. So, this is worse on strength heroes, but better on int and agi heroes now. I think that's fine enough. Nearly everybody, any support especially, would get a wand. So, having a nerf to it is good. It's going to lower the amount of games that everybody's going to get it. Rework Necronomicon. 2 Sages Mask, so you get extra mana regen if you're not an int hero. Before, if you were an int hero, you get more from the Staff of Wizardry. Belt of Strength, so that's the same, but Belt of Strength has the increased cost, an extra 100, and the recipe's an extra 100 as well. So this is more of a strength hero item now than it is an int hero. So people like Lycan and Beastmaster, they're going to be getting this more. And people like Tinker will get it less since it gives less mana regen. Poor Man's Shield has been removed. That makes it easier for offlanes to trade with the carries that get it. Damage over time no longer dispels consumables or disables blinks. I like that a lot. Orb of Venom was really strong. Just 15 free damage and you can dispel consumables and blinks in lane. Barrier active can now affect buildings. Is there any magic damage that affects building? Viper's Poison Sting if he gets the talent, I believe. So it's just a buff to pipe, but I don't see this buff having any effect in the game. It's nice that it's there, but it won't do anything, in my opinion. Ring of Regen cost reduced, so buff to Soul Ring. Now requires Claymore instead of Mithril Hammer for Satanic. I don't know if I like that. Because if you don't have BKB and you're going for Satanic, you can be... Well, if you were an idiot that was going Satanic first, you could go BKB with the Mithril Hammer. But the Claymore gives you so much less options. Pugna and Lesh. Oh yeah, you're right, for towers. So, against those two, I guess Pipe is pretty good against that. But, there's like 3 or 4 heroes this affects in a game. But it doesn't nerf Pipe in any way, so Pipe has always been a good item, and it's going to stay that way. Sentry boards no longer appear in front of observer wards when buying them, so basically observers are going to be first in your inventory, so you don't have to switch over to sentries. So this is a nerf to, or this is a buff to invis units, because you're going to have to take that half a second to switch between your wards, and then you'll get your sentry wards rather than sentry wards being on top. But if you want to get out there and ward first and the courier delivers it to you, your observer is going to be on top, which it's arguably better in some cases and arguably worse in others. Silver's Edge no longer applies enemy damage reduction. That was one of the big buys against it, or buying it, because you break them and then you reduce their damage, but you get extra movement speed for it. So this is a pretty big nerf to Silver's Edge overall. I don't like it at all, but it does stop people like Doom from going Silver's Edge, because you could just run people down with your Infernal Blade and do so much damage. Stock cooldown reduced from 11 minutes to 10 minutes. Pretty good. Allows you to gank more now. You get smokes faster, you can do more. Solar Crest accuracy increased from 35%. So whenever you put this on an enemy, your allies now have increased accuracy against it. So you're going to want to buy this against heroes with evasion and help your team out a bit. New Soul Ring. Ring of Regen, which has decreased cost. 2 Gauntlets of Strength. And then a recipe. So I really like this for heroes like Pit Lord, because you're already getting Soul Ring, but now you have the strength benefit as well. So you're getting a lot more HP regen, and the cooldown is reduced. So you can kill yourself faster with it, but you're getting your health back faster as well. So overall, this is a benefit to strength heroes using Soul Ring and a nerf to int heroes using Soul Ring. South Shield damage block increase. This is fine because they removed PMS. Now it's not as strong. In the Shadows, change from pure to magical. That's pretty good. Nerf to Night Stalker. But the damage is increased. So early game, this is going to be stronger, but late game, it's going to be weaker. Adamir's Ore now stacks with the Ring of Aquila. That's a pretty big buff because that's more armor and more regen for your team. And if you get this with like Beastmaster, you can now get the Aquila and push faster. Meteor Hammer, new item. Requires Ogre Axe, Staff of Wizardry, Ring of Regen, and Sage's Nest. So it has a good mix between strength and int, so it's viable on both those heroes. Channeling 3 seconds summons a Meteor Strike. Summons a meteor that strikes a 300 AoE and stuns for 1.75 seconds. Applies a 6-second debuff that deals 60 damage per second to structures. 115 to non-structures, cast range 600. So you have vision over the impact area for the general duration. Meteor impact destroys trees. Meteors take 0.5 seconds to land. So you basically get 6 meteors, and they each deal 60 damage per second. So that's 360 damage to towers. So this is where the new pipe comes in. If a team gets the meteor hammer on somebody, you pipe your tower takes no damage, and you just negate this item. I really like this thing, this new item. Kind of want to try it on a hero like Lycan, because you can push faster with this, gives you the int, gives you good strength. Overall, I like this item. Okay. I am tilted beyond belief with Aeon Disc. I think this is the worst item they've ever introduced. Vitality booster, energy booster recipe. So you're going to want this on somebody that wants a lot of mana and or health. Reduces the duration of stuns by 25% in roots. But the passive is whenever you take damage and are below 80% health, you apply a strong dispel on your hero, so that removes everything, RP, any stun, any root, and you gain a 2.2 buff that reduces all incoming damage and outgoing damage to 0. So, as an Oracle player, this item is completely bullshit, because if you can just build this on a hero, you don't need to pick Oracle. So then, instead of getting a reactive support like Oracle to keep your carry alive, you can build this and then get another proactive support, and then you can do a lot more. Your support's going to be up front tanking, and then if anybody gets in the back, Aeon Disc pops and you get healed if you're like a sniper or something. Or you don't get healed, but you don't take any more damage. So you can use your pike to get away, you can use shrapnel to slow them. So I think this item, it's a good item, but it's incredibly bad for the game where it's at, because you're negating an entire hero from ever being picked now. I think they should increase the cost to like 4,500. That way it's less viable, because at 3,750, if you want health and mana on somebody like Sniper, you're going to be losing damage, but you get more survivability now, which is something Sniper kind of needs if they have people that can blink on them. So yeah, I'm really pissed at this item. I don't think it belongs in this game at all. Spirit Vessel, new item. Earner Shatters, Vitality Booster, Windlace, and Recipe. So it gives 250 mana, 3 movement speed, 2 stats, 2 armor, 1 mana regen. So you're going to probably want this on a roaming support, like Night Stalker. Movement speed's great on Night Stalker. 2 stats, bit extra damage and health regen for him. In addition, Earn Behavior, casting on enemy targets now reduces enemy HP regen and heals by 70%. So this is good against people like Alchemist and Necro, and drains 3% of the target's health per second. Okay, so this is very good against tanky heroes like Alchemist and Bristleback, because percent damage does insanely well the more health they have, and it scales very well. So you want to be putting this on the tanky heroes like Alchemist, Bristleback, Centaur, and then just slowly draining their health. Casting on an allied target now amplifies HP regen and heals by 20%, and increases the target's health by 1% of the current health pool per second. So this is more of an offensive item than Earn is, but it also has a good defensive capability, unlike Earn, which was just a heal, which you would use after you fought to heal your team up to keep pushing. But with this, you can use it in the fight to keep your teammates alive. So I like this item. Pretty much anybody you're getting Earn on, like Pudge, Night Stalker, anybody that roams really well, you're gonna get this item as well. So pretty good item. I can't wait to. I can't tell if it's going to be incredibly viable for a 4, because it's a little pricey, and you could be doing more with this money right here, but we'll have to see how well it does. New item, Nullifier, requires Sacred Relic, Helm of the Iron Will, and it costs 4,700, provides 65 damage, 5 armor, and 5 HP regen. Dispels the target and mutes them for 5 seconds. Anytime the muted target is attacked, it will be slowed by 100% for 0.4 seconds. Applies slow on projectile impact. Okay, so with a projectile impact, you're most likely going to want this on a melee hero, because you're hitting them and slowing them at the same exact time, just like Echo Saber. So I think, but it has a projectile speed. Hmm. So, I think this is more of a melee item than a ranged one. You're gonna want it on somebody tanky, but also does damage, like Sven. Um, well, you're not gonna want it on Sven. You're gonna want it on somebody who has problems keeping the enemies there. So you're gonna want like Monkey King, and you're gonna want to combo this with your ultimate. You're just gonna keep them in your ultimate. They're gonna be slowed. They can't do anything about it. It's a lot of damage. It's a lot of tankability. It's a very situational item. It's not going to be picked up every single game, and that shows it's a good item. It's decent, but it's not broken. Kaya, Scythe of Wizardry, Robe of the Magi, recipe. So it's going to be an interior item. 10% spell amp. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. Um, the problem with Aether for heroes like Tinker is the spell amp was really good, and it was really cheap for that spell amp. But now you're getting more spell amp for cheaper, and then you get 10% mana cost plus mana loss reduction. So you're even getting less reduction, or you're losing less mana if there's a PL in the game. So you're going to pick this up on Storm. You're going to get it on Tinker. This seems like a really good item for mid laners that have ints, but I don't like that it's this cheap. It's most likely going to get nerfed to be like 2,500. Regeneration formula, health and mana regen formulas have been rewarded for both health and mana. You gain direct value after that. Strength and int heroes. Okay, so basically, rather than percent, you're getting static health and mana regen on items. Set. So basically, you can see how much they're regenning. Basically, he just adjusted values of some items to be, rather than percent, their static regen. Which, it's a buff to Perseverance, buff to Bloodthorn, buff to Lotus. Then we got buff to pretty much the health ones. That goes from 4 to 5 on Ring of Health. Or, yeah, I think so. I think Ring of Health was either 3 or 4, so it's pretty much buffing every single health regen and mana regen item. Trusted skills, Chemical Rage HP rescaled, so the new item won't be as good against Alkmaar. Dragon Blood rescaled, press the attack rescaled. So items have been increased where skills have been decreased for HP regen. So you basically, if you're one of these heroes, you're going to want to get items rather than relying on building up your skills. Shrine HP regen reduced, that's good. That means you can fight around them rather than being scared of fighting. Shrines no longer increase their HP regen values as time elapses. So it's better all game now if you want to fight around a shrine rather than it being harder late game. Attribute changes. Intelligence mana increase from 11 to 12, so now per int you gain 12 mana, so high int heroes will have higher mana pools at the start of the game. Good for people like Skyrat that want to spam their spells. All Agi heroes base movement speed increased by 5. All agility heroes base movement speeds reduced by 5, so it's a nerf to agility heroes on their movement speed. Strength Agi and int attributes now give a unique perk to the hero if they are the respective hero, in addition to the +1 damage. So now with the +1 damage, you also gain whatever perk that they're going to give. Strength now gives 0.15% status resistance. Okay, so basically the tankier you are, the less effective stuns will be, which that is very bad for game design because you're already tanky. So the only way you deal with a tanky person is by stunning them and bursting them down as much as you can. So this actually makes you stronger to the things that countered you before. Agility gains extra movement speed, so back to Dota 1, which I don't like that at all because heroes like Luna have high base movement speed. Even with the nerf, she's going to be incredibly fast late game, and Razor's still going to be a race car. Intelligence gain gives you magic resistance. Okay, in the stat hover, you can see the effect. Okay, so you can see exactly what % they're at whenever you hover over the hero. Strength now gives you +20 health, 0.7 HP. Okay, is this level 1 now? Or this is 1 point. So 1 point of strength gives you 20 health and 0.7 HP regen, plus 1 damage, and 15 status resistances. And then 1 agi gives you 1/6 armor, 1 attack. So basically, you basically want people with stats now. You don't want to build stats, you want to have the early game stats on your advantage. So heroes like Bane are really good now. Hero challenges. All hero talent trees have been redesigned. Many new specific talents have been good because heroes like Oracle, their 15 and 20 talents were complete and utter garbage. So hopefully they've been changed. Level 10, 25 movement speed, 20% XP gain. So pretty much if you're a core, you want the movement speed. If you're support, you want the XP gain. 6 armor or 15 more coil. Core or support, 15 cooldown reduction or 90 damage. Both of those are really good. If you're doing like the mech build, you probably want the cooldown reduction. But if you're going for some attack speed, like Mom and that kind of items, you're going to want the damage. 25 aphotic shield health or 25 curse of furnace slow. Basically, are you dying in fights or are you living in fights, depending on which one you're going to get. Alchemist, 25 attack speed or 5 armor, pretty much the same thing. Are you living in fights or are you dying in the early game? 50 damage, 250 health. 250 health is a lot, and Alchemist attacks really fast, so the damage is great on him. So once again, it's are you dying or are you living? 25% cleave, 200 unstable. I think you go cleave in almost every situation. You're not going to be benefiting from intelligence damage, so cleave does so much more for you. So unsuction cooldown reduction or 0.2 chemical rage base attack time. You're going to want to go for this pretty much all the time, because I think chemical rage already has the lowest attack time in the game. So if you can go even lower, you're attacking incredibly fast and you can take buildings really fast. Alright, Ancient Apparition. The duration of Chilling Touch is reduced, so you can't just hold on to that bonus damage for longer. Chilling Touch no longer reduces allies' attack speed. That is a big buff. But it does less damage, so I don't know about it. It's arguably better in the early game, but it's worse late game. Because early game, you want to be hitting hard. It doesn't matter how slow you attack. If you can get 1 or 2 stuns off, whoever you're going at level 1 is dead. Chilling Touch now applies a stacking 30% slow. So you slow the enemies as you hit them with this as well. This is a huge buff for Ancient Apparition. And he has a model update, so he's going to be played in every single game now for like the first week. 60 gold. That's really good, especially if you want to get your Midas for your Ags or Spell Amp, which is also really good. So I think if you're getting the Midas, you're not going to get the gold, you're going to get this because you're already going to get a fast Axe, so the bonus damage from that is going to be really good. So basically, you're going to get the gold if you're a 5, and you're going to get the amp if you're a 4. 20 health regen, or cooldown. Okay, so are you dying, or can you offer more to the team fight? It's basically what you're going to ask yourself whenever you pick this. 8% Chilling Touch damage, or 8% Ice for slow resistance. Most likely you're going to want to get the damage because of the nerf. You're going to want to help your team out a bit more, and with the no slow at all, that really helps late game. 4% I plus blast kill threshold. You're definitely going to get this as a 4 if you're getting this as well. Or 4 charges of cold feet. That's not really a lot. But this is so much damage right here. With an Ags and with this. And if you get the new item that gives you 10% spell amp as well, you're doing so much damage that maybe with this there's a core AA build. With all this stuff, maybe you can do like Veil, Mjolnir, and do that kind of core AA. I'm interested to try that out. Anti-mage, 175 health or 20 attack speed. Are you dying or are you not doing enough damage? Blink Uncontrollable Illusion. Creates a 25% damage illusion, takes 10 seconds, cannot control. Blink on... Okay, 1 second blink cooldown, that's pretty good. Or Blink Uncontrollable Illusion. So, is this whenever you blink, it just spawns an illusion at where you were? before you blinked, and then it just stays there. Because then it's kind of like the old PL thing where you turn invisible and it just spawns an illusion where you were. If it is how I think it is, then this is going to be good against lower MMR players, but this will be good against higher MMR players. 300 blink cast range, or 10 all stats. So once again, it's, do we have an initiator, or am I dying too much, or can I go for the extra damage? Because with this, you're also getting the movement speed as well with the new Agi increase. 50-second mana cooldown, a lot of damage, or 30% spell shield. So do they have somebody I can burst down, or am I getting bursted down too much? Those are your two options. Arc Warden, more attack speed or more armor. So pretty much the early game for everybody is now, am I dying or am I living? And that's your option. So if you're living, you're getting attack speed. If you're dying, you're getting armor. Plus 2-second flux duration, that's a lot more damage. Flux does a lot of DPS, and you're probably going to have it maxed at level 15. Or 350 health, 100 attack range, or 10% cooldown. You're probably going to get this for your ultimate. You want the cooldown reduction so you can spam out your Midas, your Necro, and stuff like that. 30% lifesteal or damage. So it's, are you doing a magic damage build, or are you doing a right-clicking build, pretty much? 8 strength, once again, are you living? Or are you dying, or are you living? Attack speed on Axe is really good. Oh, that looks good. Especially if you're going to be getting that level 20. Okay, level 15, 3 mana regen or 30 movement speed. Axe does have some mana problems, but at level 15, they're not really relevant. So I think this is pretty bad. This should be like 5 mana regen at level 15 or 30 movement speed. So it helps you get in position faster if you're really, really late on your Blink Dagger, or all you have is a Force Staff, which that can help out a lot of players. 20 health regen, just keeps you alive, or attack procs counter helix. So if you get this 40 attack speed and then you also attack while they're attacking you, you can spin so many times. I feel like they're going to have to nerf helix if this is as broken as I think it is, back to magic damage. Because if this is pure damage on top of your right clicks, that's so much damage. 100 Berserker Call AoE, so you can get people further away. That's pretty good if you're... Because sometimes you're trying to get a carry and a support, but then you have to make the choice if they're too far away to get the carry, and then the support can deal with you. But with this, you can get both if they're just spread out that close, that far enough. Or you can go for a bit of extra magic damage. Bane can attack Nightmare units without waking them. That is so good. My only question with this is, would a Mjolnir proc wake them up? If like you hit somebody else and then it comes back and hits them. Because if a Mjolnir doesn't wake them up, then Core Bane might really work. But Nightmare doesn't deal 20. That's fine. Because if with this, if you can... Oh my god. Enfeeble steals damage. Yeah, I think this makes offlane Core Bane really viable. Because if you can steal damage from the support, Nightmare the carry, you can just destroy the support. Because they'll have no damage. You stole all of it. I really like that. He's basically the new Venno. You're going to go offlane with him. You're going to get Blink, Veil, Mjolnir, and all that stuff. And Bane is going to be really strong. Or 6 armor. Basically, if you're going core, you get this. Or if you're going support, you get this. 150 cast range or 40 XP. 40% XP is so much. And if you're going support, you're not going to be going the Aether long range build. You're going to be going for some right click. So you're probably going to want this so you can get higher levels. 100 enfeebled damage reduction. Now, is that an extra 100 damage you steal? Because if that is an extra 100 damage, you definitely want to get this, and then this. So that you steal damage, you get to your level 20 faster, and then you steal additional damage. Which is 75. Bane has such good talents. Oh my god. 7-second Fiend's Grip. The problem with Fiend's Grip, though, is the longer it is, the more chance you have of getting stunned and your Fiend's Grip getting broken. So, you don't really need this. you're most likely always going to get this Brain Sap because Brain Sap is pure damage. So if you're doing a bunch of right click with this build, then you can just finish them off with nukes from this and heal yourself at the same time. Oh, God, I can't wait to play Bane. I want to play core Bane so bad. I think some pros have been trying to play offlane Bane, but it's just not there, and I think this pushes them over the edge. Flame Break Projectile Nile visually flies on an arc. Okay, so basically goes up and then down. Fire Armor, 6 Spell Amp, basically everybody level 1 has an Are You Dying or Are You Living? 300 health or 2 Flame Break burn duration. Damn. Flame Break does a lot of damage if you have a lot of napalm stack, so if you can stack more, this does an incredible amount of damage. 15 movement speed. At level 20, you're gonna have your blink, you're gonna have your force staff, you're gonna have something to break their Lincoln, so the movement speed isn't worth it as much as the cooldown reduction is, I think. 8-second Firefly or 13 Flame Break. Firefly is so much damage, and it gives you a lot of momentum, or it gives you a lot of mobility, but Flame Break doesn't stun anymore and break TPs, so the 13-second Flame Break cooldown isn't as worth it as an 8-second Firefly would be. You're getting so much extra value with the Firefly than you are with the cooldown on this. Maybe a spell damage Batrider build can be done with this, with the spell amp, but basically this entire row right here, these 4 abilities, maybe you could do that, some spell damage with like Aether Veil, and just rather than being a lockdown hero, you burn people to death. So maybe that's an option. We'll see. Beastmaster Wild Axes. Wild Axes spread distance, how far they are, so they go wider than they normally are. So it's harder to hit. So let's say you're here, the target's here, or the target's in the middle. Your axes aren't gonna hit that second target in the middle now. So it's more you have to aim the axes. Wild Axes radius increased. Okay, so it's a little easier to hit them though. Wild Axes mana cost reduced. That's really good for an offlane Beastmaster because you want to spam that at supports and weaken them and try to run them down with boars. Wild Axes damage reduced though. So it costs less mana, but it also does less damage. So you basically don't have to go Soul Ring on this hero anymore in the offlane, and you can do more with it. I think it's better for him in the long run with this. Wild Axes cooldown decreased as well. So yeah, this is definitely a buff to Wild Axes. Wild Axes now places a stacking debuff on affected and amplifies all damage that target takes from Beastmaster or his units. So yeah, this is definitely a huge buff to offlane Beastmaster. You're just going to spam your spells as a support, and then whenever they're about half HP, they think that they're in an okay position to harass you. You're just going to finish them off at that point, run them down with a boar, and then throw a couple axes their way and they're dead. So Beastmaster is now more of a poking hero than an outright fight with 2 boars and then run you down. Primal Roar now causes Beastmaster units to gain 30% active movement speed for 3 seconds, so rather than just a full passive, it now has an active ability. It's pretty good. Maybe you don't have to go drums on this hero anymore. Maybe you can skip that and go for just straight blink. Or Call of the Wild is now a single ability, so now you don't get to choose the Hawk and the Beast at the same time. Beast lasts 60 second cooldown, 60 seconds. Oh, so you can't have 2 boars out at once. You can only have 1 at a time. But you can have a Hawk and a boar, I'm assuming. Mana cost. Alright, not too much. Okay, so level 1 you only get the boar. You don't get the Hawk as well, which is pretty bad for laning, because if your ward gets denied, you need that Hawk out there for vision to stop you from getting ganked. Level 2, you get a level 2 boar. Level 3, you get a boar and a Hawk. That's really late to get the Hawk though. But at level 4, you also get a random neutral. That's going to make offlaning really fun and pushing really fun as well. It's just... you're going to want to time it, so you go in, like, let's say you get the troll that can net, you're going to want to throw your net troll. You're going to want to then resummon it and hope you get something like a centaur, and then you're going to get the extra stun as well, and then you're going to have roar. So you can stack these roots and stuns by timing it correctly. And now there's more of a skill cap to Beastmaster than there's previously was, which I like about that. More HP, it's really tanky. Attack damage, it has extra attack damage. Level 1 in the early levels, but less late game. So it's a little harder to push late game. More slow, nice. 40% to lot. 3 seconds. I think before it was only like 2 or 2.5. Hawk no longer becomes invisible. That's a huge nerf. One of the best things about the Hawk was it being invisible and nobody knew where it was. You were just getting free vision, and even if they wasted a sentry, they only got a Hawk. They never got the ward, which helps out a lot. Hawk HP is increased though, so you can micro it rather than it getting one shot, which that's still probably a nerf in the long run because invisibility was just so strong. Hawk armor, that's good. Hawk speed, really fast. And then the night and day vision are the same, which is really good because at nighttime each team loses a lot of vision, but the fact that you can just keep it there, it gives you a huge vision advantage. But the fact that it's no longer invisible, I think this is overall a buff now, so I'm all for this. Okay, so the random neutral, we'll select the random neutral. Alpha Wolf, increased damage. Helper Smasher gives you the slow from the smash. The Tormentor, I think, is that's the one that throws out the ball and gives you HP regen. Centaur Conqueror, I think that's the stun one, and then that's the root. So you don't get any creep at all, but you basically get all the good ones that you want. So basically it's roar attack, roar slap, roar throw ball, roar stun, roar, and net. That's pretty much it. But yeah, this increases the skill cap of Beastmaster a lot, which I like. He just seemed too simple a hero and too boring for me to spam, but now he's interesting enough to do it. 30 movement speed, it's a lot, or 25% XP gain. I don't think that you'd ever want to get this. Because you're getting like Tranks, Blink, and you might not get drums anymore because you have the movement speed from this. So I think the movement speed's pretty irrelevant. You want to get this XP gain, get higher levels, get the spore damage, or 7 armor if you're dying. 500 health is a fuck ton of health. That's a lot. Or Wild Axe's damage. And with the cooldown reduction, that's 150 damage on an 8-second cooldown. And I believe they're physical damage as well. So that's a lot of damage that pierces BKB. But the health is so much. You can just go, you might even be able to do like a tank Greaves build where you summon this army with like this, so you get Necros, and because Necros are now good for strength healers. They're a lot better for strength healers. So you just summon this massive army. You're really tanky, and you just slow push down lanes. You get 7 armor, 500 health, maybe 2 Hawks to scout out, and then you keep vision up. You slow push with your army. You're unkillable, and the team can't do anything about it. You just crumble them down slowly. Alright, Rupture cast range reduced, so before you could barely see Bloodseeker before he ruptured you, but now you can see Bloodseeker coming, start your TP immediately, and then he'll rupture you, or he won't if he's smart, and then just let you go. So it makes Bloodseeker it makes him less annoying and easier to just avoid. 25 attack speed for 4 armor. Do they have a lot of right clickers, or is it pretty much just magic damage and I want to kill them fast? 300 health, am I getting bursted? Or am I going to go for the 6-second blood right cooldown later? This is pretty much, do I want to end the game quicker? Or do I expect this game to go for a while? And then you decide based on the game. 25% lifesteal or 14% rupture damage. Okay, so pretty much, is the enemy retarded in the running, or are they fighting me and being smart and just standing still? And then that's going to decide which one you're going to pick. 6-second blood right cooldown, good for just defending your base. Combos well with this, or 20 thirst. So I'm guessing that's 20 thirst damage. So I'm guessing that's pretty much 100 damage if everybody's low in a team fight, and you're just hitting for free 100 damage every single fight, which that's a lot of damage early on. Bounty Hunter track can now be all click to alert your team how much gold the target has. The information is already available in the track debuff tooltip. Alright, so basically if you all click, probably in the chat it's going to be like Drow Ranger 150 gold, or Drow Ranger 1000 gold. So rather than your team having to go click on the enemy, hover over the tooltip, you can just tell them. Alright, movement speed, good for ganking, or XP, good if you're behind. 50 attack speed. Generally, you just want to burst people down as Bounty Hunter, or you just want to, if you go in the Greaves build, you want to keep your team alive with Mac Greaves or Pipe, you know, that stuff. So a Bounty Hunter really doesn't benefit from attack speed unless you have an attack damage build, and then you're not playing him the way that most people do. So if you're doing that build, you'll take the attack speed, but 350 health is so good. You're most likely going to get that every game. 75 shuriken toss damage, more nukes, or Janata. So basically it's right click, or nuke. 50% evasion, good if they're right clicking, or 300 track gold. Oh, so that's basically, oh, that's so much gold. Affects self and allies. So if you only get one person with track from you and your ally, that's 600 extra gold you're getting. So if you kill like the enemy mid, that's like 1,500 gold right there from one kill alone and with one additional ally. But 50 evasion is so good. I think it's pretty much, if you're behind, you get this. If you're ahead, you get this. Or if you're behind in XP, you get the evasion. It's level 25. You're not going to be behind in evasion. I don't know then. It just depends on the game. Like, are you weak on items? Do you get this? Or if you're just really dying to right click, so you get the evasion. Beastmaster, 200 health or 30 damage. Same thing. Are you living? Are you dying? Or are you dying or are you living? 3 thunderclaps slow. You can run people down. Or 20% magic resistance. So more damage, more life. 100 attack speed. That's a fuck ton. Or 15 per spirit health. So that keeps your ult alive, but generally your ult's not dying unless you're going in 1v5, and what you don't want to do. You generally want to be with your team, so you're probably always going to want to get this attack speed. And then that cooldown is a fuck ton. That's one of the big problems with Beastmaster, or Brewmaster, is his cooldown. If you can get 65-second reduction on that, you can do so much more. Because the enemy, as soon as that ult's down, they're going to want to fight your team, because it's such a big ultimate. But if they have a threat of like 40-second cooldown, they're not going to want to fight you. They're going to just farm a camp or two, and then you can refight them. But Drunken Brawler, it's not really that effective late game. They're probably going to have MKBs at level 25 to deal with that, so it's not that good. Bristleback 2 mana regen or 20 movement speed. Bristleback has a lot of mana problems early game, so you're most likely going to get this. The movement speed doesn't really help you since you have goo. You're already running people down. You're most likely always going to get the mana regen. Max cool stacks or max goo stacks, more armor reduction or more health. 25 cool damage, more health. If you need to be tankier, you get these two. If you need to do more damage, you get these. 15 spell life steals a fuck ton. You're going to heal a lot of that or more damage. So it's pretty much, do you want to stay alive, you get all of these. If you want to just burst people down and kill them, you get these. Broodmother rework. Spinweb no longer grants invisibility. That's really big. Spinweb pathing speed buff is no longer removed when taking damage though, so you can kite people in your webs with this. But the movement speed is reduced, your base movement speed. Spiderwing HP is reduced, but they have magic resistant armor, so this is going to help you mid against people like Troll and Monkey who want to burst down your spiders, but you can just, they'll stay alive a lot longer with this. They have increased HP regen and you have more charges on web, so you can be you're basically going to be running around a lot, but I don't know how this affects your build at all, because If you're not able to gain invisibility and escape, it's going to be harder to push, but if you're able to run through like trees without getting spotted, like you place a ward down, you see the enemy coming, or you just have one of your spiderlings out at all the ramps, you see the enemy coming, you just run into the trees. Even if they hit you 2 or 3 times, you can still run through the trees and they can't catch you. So then they're going to have to waste wards on Tinker wards. And then, so, Broodmother can do less, but she can create a lot more space with this. So, if you want a space creating here, you're going to go with Broodmother, but if you want a split pusher, you're going to have to get somebody else now. Spawn Spiderling damage is good for nukes, good for staying alive, which you're probably going to want that with the new rework. 35% XP gain or 20% cooldown reduction. Basically, are you behind, or have you got your Soul Ring, your Orchid maybe? 60% attack speed to 20 spider attack damage. You probably don't want the attack damage because now these spiders are a lot weaker. They can easily die. So that's really bad. But also, with your cutting ability, with your ultimate, this does a lot more. Where you can hit, run away, hit, run away, hit, run away. Alright, Insatiable Hunger. So this also does this. So you're getting 135 extra damage at level 25 with no items. So that's really good. Or Spider's health. Which at 25, the health doesn't matter because the enemies are already also at 25 and they have a lot more damage. So 350 health doesn't matter that much at level 25 for your spiders. Alright, Centaur and Warrunner. 10 evasion or 10 magic resist. So are they right clicking you or are they doing magic damage to you? 75 damage or 15% return strength damage. Whoa. Okay. With a lot of these heroes, they're giving you the option to do a different build, but it's not enough. Like, Centaur has decent base damage and base attack time, but 75 extra damage isn't a lot. You're always going to go with the return strength damage. But if they just slightly pushed an extra bit of damage on Centaur, like more strength, he might get that damage at some point. So you're just going to have to watch Centaur and see how he does with strength buffs, because that damage can be a lot in the long run. 200 double edge damage, 250 double edge damage, that also affects you as well. So you're going to want to get pipe 100% of the time with him. Or 20 strength, which is a lot of health. So do you want to nuke them down more, or do you want to live longer in these fights? Gains return more, that's really good, or something. So are they grouping up and do we need to burst somebody down, or are we just continuously 5-man fighting? 20 movement speed over 5 all stats. Generally you're going to get the stats because that also affects your illusions. You're going to want them to be tankier. That's the whole goal of Chaos Knight late game, is you want your illusions so strong that the enemy can't kill them, which helps out a lot. 15 strength or 12 cooldown reduction. Those are both so good. Like, once again, you want to keep your illusions alive, but this gives you your ult faster, and every team knows that as soon as Chaos Knight's ult's down, you push him hard, you stop him from farming, kill him, and then you push. So if your ult's on cooldown less, you can do so much more. So that's really good. 150 gold a minute. Chaos has a problem farming the jungle early game, but late game he's not going to have that problem. So at level 20 you won't really need it unless you're really behind on items. Or Reality Rip Pierce's spell mini, which is really good. So you're going to want that. An extra 7 reality armor reduction. I think it already does 7, so you're doing 14 armor reduction. And if you have somebody with like a Weaver that was in the offlane that has a Deso, you're doing so much damage with your ult. You're just killing people immediately. Or max stun, which pretty much, if you've gotten the Reality Rip Pierce spell immunity, you're not going to get this at all because they have spell immunity. But if they don't have any BKBs or anything, you're going to go for the 150 gold and then you're going to get this stun. Right. Chen attack range increase, so he can safely farm jungle. But with the jungle nerf, I don't know if you want Chen as a jungler, or if you're going to have to go with like the Dagon damage amp build. Because just an extra minute of him doing nothing is pretty big. Move Test of Faith, the teleport, okay. Holy Persuasion can now be cast on allied units to send them home, or on your stealth to teleport creeps to you, so they basically just move this skill into this one. On your persuasion mana cost rescale from 100 to increase it a little bit. So he's gonna have problems like at level 3 getting an extra creep. Test of Faith, target allies healing for half the damage values. That's pretty good. So Chen might be just like a laning support now. You get 1 or 2 creeps, but you use your nuke to kill people in the lane and slow them. Test of Faith mana cost is rescaled, so it's less early game, which is better for him. 20% XP gain and 125 cast range. I'm actually not a Shen player, so I don't know which of these I'd prefer, but most likely the XP gain, because you're probably not doing the Dagon build. You don't need that, and you don't need the cast range to get jungle creeps. 7 armor, 10 second test fate cooldown. Most likely the armor, if they're killing your creeps and getting to you, or just skipping by your creeps completely, you're dead. Chen's really squishy. 180 gold a minute, that is a fuck ton of gold. 1000 creep minimum health. I think in every situation you take this gold, this is so much gold. Holy fuck. No matter how far behind you are, once you hit level 20 with this 20% XP gain, you're just going to come back in items. You can do so much more with it. Holy Persuasion max count, more creeps if you're a puppy, that's good for you. Or more heals if you suck like me at micro. Clink's agility growth reduce, so he has a lot less damage earlier on. Death pack HP reduce, so you're getting less HP from that. You're getting less damage from eating creeps. Strafe now gives you during this time you automatically dodge up to 3 projectiles. So you're gaining increased attack speed, you're dodging projectiles, stepping to the side slightly upon impact. Strafe ends of you. So basically it automatically dodges 3 projectiles for you, but after that 3 is gone, you lose all of your attack speed as well. So you want to be getting an attack speed slowing item most likely, and then you're going to want to you're not going to want to pick Clinks against people that can attack fast. So you're going to want to just go in, burst them down before they even have time to turn around and kill you. 12% magic resistance or armor, just survivability you pick depending on what the enemies have. 15 evasion or 30 searing arrows. Are you getting right clicked, or are you killing them before they can turn around and kill you? 100 attack range, it's not really good with Clinks. What you want to do is get in close or can burst them down. 20 health regen. I mean, Clinks has such a low health pool, and especially with this nerf, you're not going to want to get that health regen. So it's whatever. 4 seconds strafe. Stacks, so you can dodge 7 attacks, which level 25 is pretty much the equivalent of level 3 projectiles early on. Searing arrows multi-shot. That is very good. Yeah, Clinks is pretty bad now, but I think this level 25 makes him pretty good. Because I believe your orb hits towers, so if you can multi-shot hit towers, then at the same time you're clearing the creep wave, you're hitting the enemy, you're lowering their damage, that might be good, especially if you get a crit item. You can just randomly be critting on the enemies in the back while you're taking the tower. So it might be a pretty big buff to Clinks with level 25, but that's getting level 25. And he has no XP talent, so that's going to be really hard. Clockwork. I love this hero, so I'm going to be biased. 25 movement speed or 5 armor. Before I think this was 4 armor, so this is a slight buff. And you never took the mana before because mana problems were only early game. They were never late game. But you're getting phase, you're getting force staff, you have your hook, so mobility isn't a problem for you, so you're most likely always going to take this armor. 15 strength or 30 body or cell damage. Your Q, battery assault, is your main source of damage as Clinks, so I think every game, even if you're dying, you're getting this battery assault damage over the strength, because this is so much damage, level 15. 20 magic resist or rocket flare. So basically, are you fighting a lot and that's pretty much it? You need extra resistances, or are you not able to fight because they're split pushing you? You're going to get the rocket flare if they're split pushing you and you can't fight. or the battery soul intro. Oh damn, that's pretty much doubling your damage level 25. I think you do like 1,000 damage with battery soul with this, or rocket flare provides true sight. Holy shit, both of these are insane. You're definitely getting Midas on clock now because your 25 is so good. Oh my god. So it affects wards as well. So with this, you can just send this through the map. Like, you don't even have to target Roshan or anything. You just send it over Roshan. You scout out if the enemy has wards. You scout out everything with this. And then you just tell your supports, hey, use the new ping. It's like, hey, ward's here. Go deward it. Amazing. I love this. This is a fucking amazing ability. Crystal Maiden 200 health or 100 cast range. Both of these pretty much do the same thing. You're tankier with each of them. You're able to sit in the back further, cast your spells. 14% mana cost, mana loss reduction aura. That's really good if you're facing against like an AM or a PL or anybody that goes defusal, but oh, also mana cost reduction. Holy shit. That does so much. Because if that also affects you, your ultimate is your biggest thing that you have problems with mana with. So if that's reduced, you can do so much more in fights now. You definitely want to go. I don't know if you can do Jungle Maiden still. Well, yeah, you can still do Jungle Maiden because the 1 minute doesn't affect you. You can lane for the first bit, then go jungle. And then get your Midas, get 15 fast, and then you can pretty much death ball with your team down mid with this. You can get so many extra spells. Or 90 gold a minute. It's not even equivalent. This is so fucking good. Like, imagine an OD as well with this. He's never gonna have problems with mana. He might not even have to get like 3 or 4 points in his mana regen thing. You just get 1 or 2 and then you death ball with this because everything costs less mana. That is such a good ability. 60 freezing field damage or 250 attack speed. 250 is a fuck ton, but CM's really squishy, so attack builds are not good on her, so you're going to want to get this freezing field damage most likely. 300 Crystal Nova damage, more damage, or just a stun duration. Pretty much, do you need to nuke them down, or do you need to keep them down for your team to kill them? Full evasion, 90 damage, I think that's the exact same. Most likely you always get evasion, HP regen's good, vacuum is not that good. 75 is not pretty big. 300 AoE surge. That is pretty good if you can do that for your entire team. That would be nice. Or cooldown reduction. I actually haven't seen a lot of Darkseer, so I don't know if you even want the cooldown reduction, because if you pretty much your centaur with this. You tell your team, hey, let's group up. We're going to smoke. We're going to surge straight into the Rosh pit. They're not going to have time to react if they're roshing. Then you're able to throw out your combo, hit them hard. You might not even need Blink with this because your team is... The main problem with Darkseer is you would Blink initiate wall, and then your team would be so far behind that your wall did nothing. So you'd have to end up using your wall defensively. But with this, now your team is with you the entire time. You get in, you wall... You do everything. Your team's able to impact immediately with your wall. So this is a pretty big buff. I like this a lot. 300 AoE surge is going to mean a lot. Parallel wall. So basically you get 2 walls. I wish they would tell us the distance where the walls were between each other. Or 150 ion shell damage. Late game, the shell damage doesn't matter. You're not going to be focused on getting extra shells on your team. But maybe with the AoE surge you are, like you shell everybody on your team, you smoke up, you surge straight into Rosh pit, you wipe the enemy team, you get Rosh. So Darkseer is very situational now with these talent builds when the game he's in. So pretty much every game you're going to build to whatever the game requires you to do. York Poison Touch targets a unit and releases a poison that splashes on nearby targets like either shock targeting. Applies a DPS and slows to the target enemies anytime poison targets get attacked. Debuff duration gets refreshed. Holy shit. Effects. So it's like either shock where it spreads to everybody the higher the level. But it has a large cooldown reduction now. Small mana cost for that, large on effect, damn. Physical damage. So basically, you're going to want to combo this with an AoE stunner. You probably want to get like a Sven on your team. He's going to stun the enemy. You're going to poison them all. They can't run away from the Sven because they're all poisoned. And then you're just going to slowly chip away at everybody with Sven, and he's going to kill them all. 6 damage with 175 health. Are you being an asshole and trying to kill people, or are you being a good support and you're going to get health? 175 cast range, which I think is really good with this poison touch, and it helps out with Grave. You can pretty much sit in the back, poison everybody, Grave from behind, and stay in the back rather than getting up close and maybe dying. 20 Shadow Wave heal damage. It's not that much. It would basically it's better if you're 5-manning and fighting the enemy team, but it's worse if you're going for pickoffs. 50 movement speed is a lot, especially for support, or 30 poison damage DPS. With the refresh, this might be viable, but if the poison touch is trash and not good, then you're gonna want to go for the movement speed. -4 Shadow Wave cooldown. You get extra heal or weave armor per second. Both of these are good in their own right. This is if the enemy is so tanky, or if they have so much attack damage that I need to keep my team alive, then you need to get this. Because this is like pretty much, it makes it like 50% more effective, or 30% more effective. Death Prophet, 12% magic resist or 50 damage. Death Prophet has really bad right click, so the 50 damage doesn't help. Your main push is with your Q to push creeps and then your ult to push towers. So you're probably never gonna get this right click. She just has such a bad base attack time that 50 damage won't help her at all with any build. So every situation you probably want to get magic resist. 150 cast range, good for pushing, good for getting a Euls to slow people, 1% max health. I'm going to be playing some support DP with this, I think. You just, if they're getting tanky people, you pick DP, you get this, you burn so much health. 500 health, that's really tanky, or it gives you more push and more damage, or Exorcism grants haste, holy fuck. DP is already a fast hero though, so haste may be not what you need. I think you get the spirits for the extra push, because you're going to have like phase, Euls, stuff like that. You're not going to need the extra haste. Maybe if you get like an Octarine and a Refresher, maybe then you get the haste, because that's level 25 and you can get rid of your phase boots and get an extra item if you permanently have haste. So that's really interesting. It can be worth it, and just gonna have to see how well it is. Disrupt 200 health or 40 true strike damage, thunder strike damage. So pretty much, have I been dying, or can I offer more to the team by doing more damage? 150 cast range, good for Glimpse. That's insanely good. Or Kinetic Field cooldown. I think almost every game I got the other option. I don't remember what it was, but whatever besides Kinetic Field cooldown, because Kinetic Field isn't that good, especially late game. If they have BKBs, it doesn't matter, because they're going to get out of your Glimpse range. They're going to go through the 3 Kinetic Fields you throw down without even their BKB going down. So I don't think this is that good. 180 gold a minute is a fuck ton of gold. It's 3 gold a second. You're going to want that. Or 4 Thunder Strike hits. So if you get this, you're going to have to get this most likely to make it worth it. But if you get the health, then you skip this. 10-second Glimpse cooldown. Hello Kunkka. Or 4-second Kinetic Field duration. You're most likely going to get the Glimpse. Kinetic Field is good for locking people down, but Glimpse stops TPs unlike Kinetic Field. So if they're TPing, Glimpse them, then throw down Kinetic Field. You know, they blink away, Glimpse them again. So Glimpse is probably the best skill that you can get, and Kinetic Field I don't think is worth getting that. Alright, more health regen for Doom or more movement speed. You're getting Scorched Earth anyways, which gives you movement speed, so you most likely want to get the damage and heal. So just value-wise, getting the extra score surge damage and heal would be better. 20 evasion and 150 devour bonus gold. I mean, you might as well get the gold and then get a halberd or like a solar crest, so you get the evasion. There's no point in wasting a skill point doing that whenever you can get bonus gold to then get that. But maybe in a game where you need so many items that, or maybe in a game where you don't need that many items, you just get the 20 evasion and then you can get something else. Alright, 40 Doom DPS or Devour Target Ancients. In the past meta, you would have wanted the Doom DPS, but until we see how the meta is going to play out, it's going to really depend whether it's a 5-man game where you're going to need the Doom DPS to take one person out of the game, or if it's going to be a slower chip away at the tower split push game, then you can get the Ancients. 3% Infernal Blade damage, that's percent damage scales so well into the late game, so if they have tanky cores like CK, Bristleback, stuff like that, you're going to want that, or 100% Cleave. Doom doesn't really right click, all his damage comes from Doom and Infernal Blade, so you're not going to want to get the Cleave, you're going to want to get the percent Infernal Blade damage. Dragon Knight, Breathe Fire now reduces total attack damage, not just base damage, so that's better late game, but the reduction is decreased, so it's worse early game, but better late game whenever they have damaging items. Cast point is increased, so it takes a bit longer, so they can see it coming and maybe dodge out of the way if they're fast enough. Distance increased though, so even if you're mid with DK, you can clear a wave with it and harass the enemy at the same exact time. Because before you could see it coming, he would walk up to the creep wave to try to get you. Now with the extra range, maybe you can hit them without them seeing it coming. 2 mana regen or 30 attack speed. Generally, you're getting Soul Ring on this hero, so you're not going to need the mana regen, so the attack speed would be better. 300 health or 40 XP gain. You're going to hit 15 pretty quick on a mid hero, so you might get this XP gain. That way you can get to your later talents, which level 20, if you can hit that really fast with like just sitting mid, gaining XP, you get that 40, and then you get to level 20 really fast, and you're really tanky. Or gold a minute. It's, if this were any other hero, I think you get this, but because of how strong this is on DK, and with the changes to HP regen, it's really good. 40 strength is a fuck ton, or the stun. Every situation, I think you go for the strength, because even if they're fucking a billion times, or if even with the increase to strength, with the reduction, the stun duration doesn't matter. Because if you're facing against a tanky hero, you're going to want to man fight them, because with the new strength, it reduces stuns. So not only is your stun less effective, every other stun and root is less effective against you with this strength buff. And added a visual effect that creeps on Precision Aura's cast. This is good because when I was a noob, I didn't know what creeps got affected by Precision Aura. I didn't know if it was just a range or not, so this will help people that don't understand Drow. So you see like, oh, my siege creep gets it, that's nice. Or the creep that my friend has that's playing Chen, that's good. So it just doesn't offer anything to the game, or it doesn't take anything away from the game, but it offers a lot to lower players. Alright, 5 all stats, 20 movement speed. Agility heroes, they have the base movement speed nerf, but they gain movement speed, so you're most likely not going to want the talent. She's going to be fast late game, so you're going to get the stats so that she can get more damage and she gets faster off of this and more armor. 25 attack speed or gust knockback. Are you getting initiated on by like a spear breaker, or are you perfectly fine sitting in the back killing everybody? Most likely you're going to get the attack speed. Gust duration, so extra silence or more agility. That's more damage, more armor. That's really good. 50% cooldown reduction. I don't think you want that at all in Drow. Unless your team is like a Chen split pushing with like Doom Ancients. You're not going to need that for the Precision Aura. I don't think that's good at all. Like, your items aren't good for it. You're going to be getting Mom and Butterfly, each of which have a downside to them, so getting those on lower cooldown doesn't help you at all. So I think you go for the Precision Aura almost every single time. Earth Spirit, 10 intelligence, that's really good, or 40 damage. Both of those aren't good. Problem with early game Earth Spirit is he runs out of mana, so he can't do everything at once, but with this he can. 7 armor, 200 rolling boulder damage. Are you getting right click to death, or are you able to get in, burst people down, and then get out? 150 gold a minute, good for support, but that's really late. Whereas other supports are getting like 180. You're still going to be behind unless you're getting kills constantly. 15% spell amp, which helps you get more kills constantly, which then I feel like this should be like 25, and then this should be level 20. 1 second Boulder Smash stun, that's really good because you can hit an entire team with that. So you pretty much have an RP that's not grouping them, or Geometric Grip targets allies. I'm going to have to disable help on a lot of people. So on a 5 Earth Spirit, you're going to want this, but on a 4 Earth Spirit, you're going to want this, so you can save your allies more. Alright, Echo Slam initial damage removed. Alright, so that's a lot less damage for Earthshaker. That's really good. Echo Slam, echo damage increased from 40. Alright, so for more units, you're going to do less, or you're going to do more damage, but if you're going for single target damage, you're not going to do much. Echo Slam bounces twice off non-illusion heroes. God damn. Okay, so yeah. So Earthshaker isn't going to be as good at pick-off potential as he was before. I mean, he still has all the stuns, so you're going to need somebody else now with you, rather than being able to go against somebody and just taking them out solo. So that's a pretty good nerf to him. He was in an insanely good spot, but now this puts him down to maybe like top of the tier 2 heroes. He might still be a tier 1 hero. 250 mana or 30 damage. Support or core. 7 armor, 30 movement speed. Core and a position 5 support most likely would get the movement speed. If you don't have like 4 staff or blanket. 50 echo damage, that scales really well with this now, especially if they have a lot of the new unit heroes like Chen and stuff. Or a lot of the new buffed unit heroes. 400 fissure range, that helps blocking, but if you have blink and 4 staff, you don't need this since you can already catch them. 2 second chance totem cooldown, good for a core, and 50 magic resist, good if you're dying a lot to burst. How did I not? Echo Stomp now wakes up the target. If the target takes more than damage, no longer has exception for player and damage sources not. Okay, so does this mean that towers can actually hit them now, and then they wake up after a hit or two? If so, that's pretty good, because it was so annoying having an Elder Titan just stomp a lane, and then your creep wave would run past the tower, or your creep wave would run past the sleeping ones, and then just, it would result in your lane being pushed back because you wouldn't have a creep wave. So, like, Elder Titan was inadvertently buffed with the sleep. So add a visual effect that's good for your supports, or that's good for newer players. 200 health or 25 movement speed. Probably get the health all the time because you get so much movement speed with your Astral. 30 Astral Spirit, good for a core, good for a supporter if you're dying. 70 attack speed, good for a core, good for a support that isn't really right clicking. That is insanely good. Damn. Once again, like, Elder Titan has the longest cooldown, and then as soon as if you whiff your ult or something, the enemy team is immediately on you. So the fact that this has a really short cooldown now means that you can disengage if you miss your ult, wait 30 or 40 seconds, and then go back in and fight again. So the enemy team can farm like 1 or 2 camps, and then that's it. And then they can't, and then you're fighting again. But 100% lifesteal is also good for a core. 150 Flame Guard absorption, good if they have a lot of magic damage, or 20 damage. You go that if you go for the physical build or magic build. Magic build, lockdown build, magic build, true strike. That's a fucking physical build buff right there. Fuck you, PA. That's pretty much what this patch is. 2 Sleight of Fist charges, that is really good for the physical build, or 25 Remnant Charge replenish. So you can be out there pushing faster, you can do your magic build more often. It's really good. Enchant now removes positive buffs on enemy heroes. Okay, so fuck you, Legion, I guess. And fuck PA as well, I guess, again, because I believe she could blink onto the enemy Enchantress and she could attack without the attack debuff happening. So if you're fast enough, PA blinks on you, you purge the buff, and now she's back to hitting terribly slow because you're an asshole that plays Enchantress. Alright, so 15 magic resist. Good if you're dying. 25 movement speed. She already has fast-based movement speed, so it doesn't really matter. You probably won't get this. 50 damage, that's good if you're getting Ags. Or more healing if you're getting gone on a lot. Enchant affects the Ancients, that's pretty good at level 20, and gives you more snowball push. Or Untouchable slow. At that point in the game, 100 Untouchable slow I don't think means too much. So I think it matters a bit, but it doesn't matter. It's not game winning as much as having like 2 extra Ancients would be. So I think you go with the Ancients. 25 Nature's Attendance heal, that's not too good unless you get the extra Wisp or 8% impetus damage, which you're most likely going to get because every single Enchantress gets Ags. Enigma, more magic resist, good if you're dying. 20 movement speed, not too good because you're going to be getting blink and stuff like that. You're not going to need it. 120 gold a minute, that's good for getting your blink and your refresher. Or 15 cooldown reduction, you're most likely going to get this every game. 400 health, keeps you alive if you're getting gone on by like a PA before you can throw down your ult, or idle and damage. I think they're trying their best to force split pushing, but inadvertently they just buffed 5-man pushing so much. Like every game, Earthshaker's going to be banned because there's going to be so many units just pushing with like Necros, Eidolons, all the buffs to Doom and stuff. So you're just going to have this massive army pushing down mid, and they've inadvertently buffed. They tried to stop 5-man, but they've inadvertently buffed it. 4 Malefice instances, pretty good. Or 8 Demonic Conversion Eidolons. So Eidolons are pretty bad late game, especially at 25, because the enemy can deal with them. So you're just feeding them gold. So you're most likely going to want the stun because it stops blinks, it stops TPs. Pretty good. 8 strength or 20 damage. Are you dying or are you staying alive? Time lock damage. Have you prayed to Gaben? Has he blessed you? Or are you just failing every single bash possible? More ranged, so you don't need to buy a blink or anything to get in range to your ultimate, and so you can get away more, or more damage. Ooh, more times the. So basically, if you have the best RNG in the world, you go with the time lock damage and the backtrack, so you do so much extra damage you never get hit. Or 175 Kronos for your AoE. There's been so many times where my Void has hit me on the edge of Chrono and got me killed. So increasing the AoE I think is actually bad for bad Voids. Because even at like 5k, my Voids are still hitting me on the edge of Chrono. So I'm going to be closer. I'm going to be further inside Chrono. So this is actually, it's a buff to good Voids, but a nerf to bad Voids. So if you're bad at Void, do not pick this at all. You're just going to harm your team more than you're going to do good. Gyrocopter removed homing missile cast point, so it's instant. Homing missile will notify the target primary dies. That's really good. Prioritizes heroes. Homing missile speed increased from 340 to 500. So it's really fast now, so support gyro might be good. Well, it already is good. Homing missile launch delay increased from 2 to 3 seconds. That's a pretty big nerf. And the extra second means you can get further away, but also does more damage. But it does a fixed amount of damage, so actually this doesn't matter. This is actually a really big nerf. So pretty much you're going to target your missile on an enemy. That enemy's going to die, and then it's going to go to a new hero. That's pretty much how this is going to work. Like you're going to cast it on the enemy PA. The PA is going to die, and then by the time it launches, it's going to switch to the Disruptor, and then you're going to kill them. 25 damage or 200 health. 25 damage most likely if you're the carry. 200 health if you're the support. 3 flat cannons attack for the carry. 11 rocket barrage damage. Okay, so if you're able to run down people with single damage burst, you're getting this rocket barrage. If you're going for AoE fights, you're getting the flat cannon. 50 movement speed or 25 cooldown missile cooldown, or 25 cooldown cooldown. Which cooldown has a really small cooldown. It's like 50 seconds, I think. So pretty much halving the cooldown time of that, which is really good for 5-man fights, and this is good for pickoffs if you're going with the barrage. Global cooldown. I miss that Axe. I love that Axe. Like, you would do Zeus, Furion, Spirit Breaker, and Gyro Axe, and you would call down and burst one person far away. So, I think global cooldown is good, especially with this, because you can clear a wave and then in 25 seconds be able to fight again, or clear another wave far away. So, I think every single game you're going to get the cooldown instead of the homing missile charges. Huskar, more damage or more health? Pretty self-explanatory. Lifesteal or extra damage. So, are you just barely dying in fights, or are you just want to do extra damage? You're going to get that 15 strength. Are they getting stuns? Can you break out of the stuns with the new strength buff, or do you not have an initiator, so you need this extra range? 125 attack range, pretty good. Actually, that's the opposite of what Huskar wants. Huskar wants to get in their spears and then heal himself up to full. 0 inner vitality cooldown. That is pretty good. That is fucking insane. He doesn't have any other talents to support this, though. Like, if he had an inner vitality extra health regen, that would be great. But the fact that he doesn't, this doesn't really do anything. Because Huskar has a low enough mana pool where if you're casting it on your allies and then you go in without the mana, you're not going to be able to heal yourself. So I think you have to go with the attack range because you don't have the mana pool to support this. Right, Invoker 30 Chaos Meteor damage, just better clearing waves early on, or Tornado duration, just a small amount, good for disabling early fights. If you're a good Invoker, you probably want to go for this. If you're a bad Invoker, you want to go for the Meteor damage. Cold Snap duration, that's the most annoying spell in the game. If you want to tilt the enemy out of the game, do that. Or if you just want to soul push with the Forge Spirit. 35 alacrity damage speed, that's a lot for split pushing, especially if that's how the perceived game's going to be. Or Cataclysm, new spell. Looks like launch when Sunstrike is double tap, puts it on 90-second cooldown. Creates 2 visible Sunstrikes within 175 of each enemy. What the fuck is that? That is bull fucking shit. That should not be a thing, because Invoker is getting, like, he's getting Midas Axe at 15 minutes. So he's getting really fast levels with that Midas. So he's going to hit 20 really fast. And then 2 Sunstrikes. Pretty much, if your team is fucking retarded, like most teams are, they're going to run into each other. They're going to create Sunstrikes on everybody. And then Invoker's going to get Rampages every 90 seconds whenever he hits level 20. I don't know. I don't like that. That seems really strong. I think basically, depending on how strong this actually is, every Invoker is going to get this, but if it's not as strong as I think it is, the good Invokers will get the alacrity speed, and then the bad Invokers will get Cataclysm. Yeah, it's Dark Moon all over again. Level 25, AoE Deafening Blast, pretty much the same thing as before. Now, relocate cooldown increased, so nerfed IO, max range nerfed. So they're nerfing IO. I thought it was in a pretty bad spot. I would expect some buffs. 400 spirit max range, so basically you can pick up the lost range here and gain some extra at level 10. Or you can get 60 damage, which you don't want to be doing unless you're a mid IO that's core. Tether grants Scepter bonus. That's pretty good. That's really good. 90 spirit damage. You're probably not going to want to get that. 150 golden minutes, really good, but it's pretty bad at level 20. Automatically attacks every time your ally attacks. Okay, that explains the 60 damage right there. So basically, what you want to do now is combo your IO with a fast attacking ally. You're going to want to get that damage, get some kind of, like an Orb of Venom with IO. You're going to want to hit them. Your Orb's going to do an additional 15 damage to them. You're going to be attacking so fucking much with this. You're pretty much... Imagine Gyro Axe. You're pretty much a Gyro Axe now. You get Gyro Axe, you get that bonus, you do this, you're attacking 4 times every second. Or you're attacking 4 times every time your Gyro hits. That is insanely good. Like, this combo might make Gyro Core viable again. I can't wait to see that. 50 health regen, that is a fuck ton. That's going to keep you alive. Or tether stuns. You're generally not running in range to stun people. You're staying in the back, keeping your players alive and stuff. But maybe with this, you're standing up close with your gyro. You need the health regen so you stay alive. That also gives your gyro health regen. That's a lot. IO is definitely in a more unique spot, and I can't wait to see what it does. Chihiro dual breath cast point reduced, so you can do more. Macropyre cast time. Chihiro's already in a good spot. This buffs him even more. 10% spell lamp or 25 XP gain. Pretty much position 4, position 5. You most likely always go dual breath. Liquid fire attack speed. That's really good for your team with their right clickers, or 150 gold if you're behind as a 5. 125 ice pass slow or micropyre. Most likely you get this if they have spell immunity with BKBs, or you get this if they don't. Juggernaut's no longer silenced when using Blade Fury, but can still cast Omni Slash. Oh, but still cannot cast Omni. So he can basically throw down the heal while he's spinning and keep himself alive. So he can like spin ward TP, and then he'll be healing at the same time. So then you have to make the choice: do you try to kill the Juggernaut, or do you waste an attack getting the ward and then hitting Juggernaut? So it's gonna let his spin TPs get him out more, and that's a pretty big buff for him. Alright, 5 all stats, that's good, especially since he's Agi. That's pretty much a 1 armor. 20 movement speed, you don't really need that since you're really fast with like Manta and Phase Boots. 1 second Blade Fury duration, pretty good, especially with this new buff. 25 attack speed. You're most likely going to get the attack speed. 10 armor is really good if you're dying, or 1 Blade Fury. If you're purposely doing a Blade Fury DPS build, I don't think you're playing Juggernaut right. You want to be right-clicking with your Mantos and stuff. 600 health or 5 Omni Slash. You're most likely going to go for the strikes on this. That's so much extra damage. Keeper of the Light, man. Lead cast reduce. Thank fucking god. This hero's... He may not be good, but he's the most annoying hero to lane against. You just get leaked and you can't do anything in lane. But now that if you can see it coming now from further away. 25% movement speed. He's really fast. He might not need that. 8% spell lifesteal. That is really good really early on. You can blast, heal people. If you're a 4, you can get your Midas, get your Ags going, and then you can just destroy people. And you don't even die from it. 40 XP gain. You're definitely going to get that. Or 350 cast range. You're most likely getting your XP gain. 30 Chakra Magic Mana. Yeah. Most games you don't need that. Your normal chakra mana is normally enough, so you're not going to get it. Or 40% magic resist. It's not that good. Or, I mean, the chakra mana is not that good. You're most likely going to get magic resist every single time. 200 illuminate damage heal. Goes well with your Ags. Or 2 mana stun. Late game, they're not going to run out of mana, most likely. They're going to be able to just BKB TP out, so it's not good. So you're most likely always going to go for this to keep your team alive and push the lanes out. Kunkka is no longer restricted from using Flying Blade, so he's better mid lane. He can do more damage. You're going to get this if you're a core. You're going to get this if you're support. Support core. That's a nerf considering the old torrent, but it's really good. 25 strength most likely if they have a lot of stuns, especially. Ghost Ship Fleet. I wish they would explain what that meant. Because if this is like 3 ghost ships that hit at once, that's so much fucking damage. But if that's like your Ags where it pushes them back, that's pretty bad. So if this is like what I'm thinking, where it's multiple ships that just hit over and over, that is the best level 25 I've ever seen. But if it's just... if it's nothing, it's not even worth it. Because you most likely go to Cleave. Because Kunkka, even as a support, even as a support, you can transition into a core. Alright, Legion Commander, 25% XP gain, range strength. You can't jungle anymore as Legion. Coiling Blade was nerfed. It's 4 ships after each other. Okay, so that is a fuck ton of damage. You're definitely going to get fleet every single time. That is the best thing I've ever seen. Konka was already a good enough hero in a great position. You're going to get him pretty much every game now. But I don't know if you're going to get level 25. That's your only problem, is getting up to 25. Oh well. Alright, 25% XP, your 8 strength. You're probably going to get strength every game. That's extra damage, better for your duels. 30 attack speed, or extra damage. So you're going to have to build for offlane since the jungle was nerfed. So you're going to go with 8 strength, overwhelming damage, most likely. You don't need the movement speed. You're already fast enough with overwhelming odds and blink. You're going to want this for the harder duels. And then pretty dual damage bonus. Yeah, you're probably going to get this because press the attack really doesn't matter. You have problems with your mana pool, so you're just going to want to get the duel, get out. 5 armor and 250 mana. Pretty much are you dying? Do you need extra mana to push? 15 strength. Strength doesn't benefit this hero as much as just as Intwood, so I think they should probably just change this to health, and then they should just say it's health, that way it doesn't confuse newer players. But you'll most likely get the health, and then if you want to be kiting people, you're going to get the mana, you're going to get the movement speed, you're going to get the pulse nova duration. But if you're dying, you need to get the armor, the strength, the evasion. Plus 50 diabolic edict, that's great for pushing towers. Or 3 lightning storms to them. Good if you need to run people down. Here comes the Lich nerfs. Chain Frost is now reflected on initial project impact rather than on cast time. Okay. Does this mean for like Lotuses it gets reflected? Alright, Ice Armor still rescaled from 24, 26, 28, 30%. Okay, so it's really weak early game, which is good, but it's better late game. 175 health to 25 movement speed. Lich is pretty fast, but he's not incredibly fast, so you're going to want to get the movement speed. That way maybe you don't need Tranks, and you can go for something else, like Phase, since he has a good attack time. 120 damage for second Frost Blast cooldown. Probably if you're doing the mid build, you're going to get the movement speed and damage. But if you're doing the support, you're going to get the health and the Frost Blast. 120 gold helps a lot. You generally want Midas on that hero. 175 cast range helps you sit in the back if you're dying. Attack supply 30. If you're doing the mid, you're doing that. If you're 30 HP regen. Maybe if you're doing the right click, you don't even do the slow. You get this instead. You're unkillable. They attack slower late game now. This is really good. Alright, Lifestealer. 20 attack speed or 200 health. Are you dying? Do you need to do more damage? Most likely you do this. I don't know the math, but most likely this heals you more than 200 would. 30 damage or 35 movement speed. You have vehicles generally as Lifestealer. You generally want to combo with a vehicle like Spear Breaker, so the movement speed doesn't help that much. And you have a slow, so you're going to take the damage. 20% evasion or 50% open world. Basically, if you're facing against right clickers, you get the evasion. If you're facing against magic damage, you get the open wound seal. 2-second rage reduction. Pretty good. Yeah, if you're facing against magic damage, you get this. You get the 25. And then 2% feast. You know, level 10, 100 cast range. Good if you need to sit in the back. Or 225 damage if you're doing the Shadow Blade build. 300 health or 140 light strike array damage. Pretty much, if you're dying, you're getting these two. If you're living, you're getting this one. If you're living, you're getting that. More spell lamp goes great with your ultimate, especially with Ag since it's pure damage. More attack damage if you're doing the Shadow Blade build once again. 175 attack range for the Shadow Blade build where you're right clicking. Or if you need to clear more waves, you're getting that. 75 cast range, 75 damage. Lion has large attack range already, but he has a low base damage. And Lion wants to get in close in order to cast his spells. So this is counterintuitive, and this is also counterintuitive because of your low attack speed. So most likely, because this is the better of the two options, you want the damage. 200 finger death damage. They're really giving ultimates bonuses at level 15. So yeah, you're definitely going to take this. The extra nuke is just insanely good. I think it outweighs the value of the gold. Maybe as a 4 you go for the damage, as a 5 you go for the gold. 500 health or 2 mana drain. If you're facing against illusions, you're taking this. If you're dying to other people, you're taking this. 1000 Earth Spike range or 325 AoE. Okay, so once again, if you don't have a blink at 25, you're not going to be getting the AoE hex because you're not going to be in range to do anything worthwhile. So you need to get this so you can hopefully hit somebody from far away. But if you have a blink, if you have glimmer, if you have force staff, all that stuff to save people and get in position, you're going to get this hex and hopefully just wreck everybody. Battle cry cooldown reduced, so you can attack faster, move faster. Battle cry duration reduced though, so it lasts shorter. So you can get away more and you can hit faster more. Or he has the option to get away more if it's a long ass chase, but if it's a short chase, you can just run him down after the 5 seconds, catch him. 175 attack range if he's doing the attack damage build on himself, or 250 if he's building for the bear. Basically, if you're getting gone on a lot, you need to push him away, or if you're doing the bear build. Right clicking, bear build. Bear build. Battlecry grants spell immunity. That's 5 seconds of spell immunity. You're definitely getting this over Entangle every single time. Luna, 20 attack speed with 150 cast range. Most likely attack speed, you want to get in close range so you can use your ult. You don't want to be sitting in the back spamming your Q. Minus 2 second loosen beam cooldown, not worth it. That extra damage helps your entire team. Sand all stats, gives you extra agi, that's 1 armor, gives you movement speed, 100 loosen beam damage, and once again, you don't want to be spamming this. It works well with your ult, but if you're hitting your Q a lot, you're not doing what Luna needs to be doing and pushing and attacking. 25% lifesteal, that helps you stay alive so much since Luna has such a small health pool, or 0.25 Eclipse Lucent mini stun. Once again, you don't want to be hitting your Q, you want to be fighting and attacking, and you have your Manta, so they're also gaining the benefits from the lifesteal, so most likely you're always going to be getting this. Fixed break, not disabling fair one post, small nerf to him. 5 armor, 20 damage. Are you living, or are you dying? More HP regen, more cooldown reduction if you want to push. More shapeshift duration if you want to push or fight more. More damage if you want to. Most likely you're getting this if you're fighting. And then. No, you're getting this if you're fighting. And then you're getting this if you're pushing. 3 wolf summon great for pushing, especially comboed with this. Or extra hero health. So Rip Chen again. Shockwave Scepter, speed increased. Nobody's still going to buy Scepter yet. Still trash. 25 attack speed, so off lane. Off lane if you're going for... If you're able to trade right clicks with the enemies, or if you can't trade right clicks then you need to stay alive, you need to get that. 15 strength also disables duration of roots and stuns now, so you're definitely getting that on him. Shockwave damage really doesn't help. You're getting more out of right clicks with this if you're doing like the Mom Echo build. 12 armor is a lot of armor. Keeps you alive so much. Skewer range is okay. It's not the best thing, but if your teammates don't have good engage after your RP, you can help push them back further. 20% empowered damage cleave or longer RP. You're most likely every situation you're going to get this RP duration, because it doesn't matter if your carry can do extra damage to everybody with this longer. With your normal empowered, you're going to be doing even more damage. Medusa. Stone Gaze slow no longer continues to affect targets after they turn away from Medusa. So that is pretty big buff. Or that's a pretty big nerf to Medusa. Because if you can just turn and run and you're not slowed, then your teammates can't really help out that much as they could before. Stone Gaze can now be reapplied after it wears off the target continues to face Medusa. So basically you can stun, and then while they're stunned it reapplies. Oh, after the debuff is over, so you can essentially stun somebody twice with Stone Gaze. Split Shot is now passive, so you always have it. Split Shot projectiles rescale from 1, 2, 3, 4 to 3, so you have an additional Split Shot, so she's better late game now. Damage is rescaled to be worse early game, better late game. So basically, once you hit 4, yeah, so basically you're going to keep it off. It's going to be harder for you to push and farm now, but late game you're going to do a lot more with it. Split Shot no longer reduces damage for the primary target. That's good. Split Shot range now uses your attack range plus 100 rather than the fixed 700. Okay, so this lets you get stuff like Pike, so you're not losing range on the Split Shot. Split Shot does not fire when attacking allied units. Alright. 25 damage or 10 evasion. Basically, are you staying alive or are you dying to right clickers? 30 attack speed or 10 Mystic Stake Mana Steal. Okay, do you want to be an asshole or do you want to right click people to death? 800 mana gives you so much health, or 2 second Stone Gaze duration. This isn't the stun duration. Okay, so this counts as your ultimate, but since it can be reapplied, this means that it gives you a longer time to run away, one, and it gives you a lot more time to just kite them. You can stun more often now since it can be reapplied. So this is arguably a pretty big buff for Medusa. 7 Split Shot targets. So you're doing 11 targets with the buff, with only 20% reduction. You can push massive waves late game. You can fight the entire enemy team and clear a creep wave. Holy shit, that's a lot. Fuck 5 man, but you have to get to level 25 in order for this to be effective, which is really late game, and that's where Medusa thrives. So this is pretty much just a win more. So it's about, you now uses modifiers. They all proc stuff like Scotty, so rather than just the main target getting it, everybody gets slowed by Scotty. Everybody gets procced by Mjolnir. That's pretty hard. I think in most scenarios you're going to go for the 7th Split Shot though, because it's you're level 25, it's a late game, you need to be clearing waves fast, everything like that. So the Split Shot gives you more value. Movement 10% lifesteal, 30% movement speed. You most likely don't need the movement speed since you can poof around the map. You have Blink, you have Boots of Travel, you're not going to be lacking movement speed. 10 strength, pretty good. More health, more damage, or more evasion if they're right clicking you to death. More health if you're dying, or more damage pretty much. Marana Reaped Leawork has 3 charges, leaps a distance of 550 per charge, grants you movement speed and attack speed for 2 seconds. Replenish time, mana cost 40, movement speed 86. 24, 32. Okay, so leap bonus only affects Marana, so this lowers her chance at being a support. You can't be giving your teammates the leap aura of attack speed and movement speed 3 times. So this lowers her options as a support and forces her more into a core role. 200 health or 20 damage. Yeah, if you're dying, basically if you're a support or if you're a core, minus 5 second arrow cooldown or 100 leap attack speed, support or core. Spell amp, so support with the axe build, or mana break with the core right click. 2 multi-shot sacred arrows. Good support build with this, or 70 moonlight shadow cooldown. So that's good if you've destroyed a lot of the enemy vision. It gives you a lot more mobility around the map, as they won't see anything coming. Monkey King. Base damage reduced by 3. That hurts his mid lane capabilities. Gives him more of a support role. Or not a support, but more of a safe lane role. Jingle Mastery bonus damage reduced. It's worse early game, but the same late game. Monkey King Nolan destroys trees, so asshole centaurs can't fuck with you. They're on the same team as you. 150 tree dance, or vision aura, or 20 attack speed. So basically you have the option of going 3-1-3 or 4-0-3 with this build. 300 tree dance gas range. Generally you don't want to get this, as actually you might want to get this if they're hunting you down a lot and you need to escape, but in most situations you want to get this extra damage. 30% boundless strike damage. Yeah, this is so much damage if you go with the 20 attack speed, 75 Jingu, 50% boundless strike damage. or a 300 Primal Spring. So pretty much this is like support build if you want to get the extra vision, get the extra range, get the extra slow and damage. 100 Wukong command armor. Holy fuck, you're unkillable by right clickers. Or Wukong command ring? Does that mean that you have 2 charges of this, or if it creates another ring somewhere else? Because if you have 2 charges, basically what you can do is you can force high ground, get the tower, your first ring goes down, ult again, and then you can get one of the rest, because the enemy will not fight you level 25 with your ult. So this gives you so much high ground push. This is such a huge buff to Wukong. Or to Monkey King. Morphling Hero Rework. Reduce base intelligence from 17 to 13, so he's retarded as Darkseer is. Rename Morph to Attribute Shift. Attribute Shift rate, rescale from 24816 to 141025. So it's worse early game, but a lot better late game. So now you can't just morph strength early game and live through everything. Buddha Shift now costs no mana. Holy fuck. That is a big buff. Adaptive Strike is now 2 ability, one that deals damage based on agility, and one that stuns knockbacks based on strength. Which one is cast, the other one goes on cooldown for 3 seconds. That's pretty good. So what you can do is, basically, you can morph strength, stun them during the 3 seconds or whatever the duration. 5 seconds, I think, is max on stun. During that time, you're going back to agility to burst them. When the stun's done, or when the stun's off cooldown, then you burst them with the agility damage. So rather than just being a brain dead morphling player that only stays on agility, you're now morphing more and making the hero more fun to play. Adaptive Strike Strength stun rescaled to max of 3 seconds, so pretty much you're doing it exactly on time from stunning to then switching to agility for the burst. Knockback increased to 500. That's good. Remove Morphling Scepter. Replace Replicant with new ultimate morph. Changes your hero to match the target enemy. Copies the target's visual model, basic abilities, base moves, attack range, and attributes. If you die during this, Morphling dies. You can exit the morph. Holy shit. So, like, if the enemy has a Sven, I can just become Sven. Holy fuck. That is insanely good. Your hero changes abilities and appearance to match. So like, I can go in, cast all my abilities, become the enemy carry, and then all my skills are reset. I can attack again. Then whenever all those skills are on cooldown, I can switch back to Morphling where all his skills are off cooldown and spam them again. So yeah, I like this change. It makes Morphling less brain dead to play and a lot more fun. 10 agility or 20 movement speed. Most likely getting agility because that gives you armor. We form attacked targets. Late game, that's really good, but at level 15, it's not as effective as you want it to be. 30 attack speed. If you're gonna end late game, and you know that, you're gonna want the attacks targets, or if your game's gonna end soon, you want this attack speed. 25 more cooldown. With this upgrade, it's a 40% cooldown. Level 18. So then you're gonna want this cooldown, because then that puts it on 15-second cooldown. So during the entire duration you're using it, it lasts 30 seconds too. Holy shit. That spell is so fucking good. Morphling's gonna be tier 1, I think, with that. Like, you can throw out all your E-Blades and everything, become the enemy carry. Just, holy fuck. I can't wait to play Morphling. Morphs target allies. Now, I wonder what that means. I wonder, does that mean all your allies turn into you? Or if all your allies turn into the enemy? Because that could be very trolly if you just turn everybody into a bad support. Or what? Or if you morph into that ally. I wish they were more descriptive with these kind of things. Waveform range, good for escape, good for getting in there to use your new morph ability. Multi-shot, adaptive strike. I think multi-shot is random targets as well. It doesn't hold charges. So then you're going to be hitting random people with this and doing a lot of damage. Naga Sign, it's air cross reduced, so that's pretty good for supports early on. You can spam out that net, keep them rooted, use your armor reduction as well. 175 health or 25 movement speed. Basically, support or core, you're going to decide which one you need. 15 agility helps out a lot as a support. That's good movement speed. Or 15 agility helps out a lot as a core. That's good damage. That's good movement speed. 14 strength is good for a core. 1 mirror illusion. That's good for a core. That's good for a support, and core. It's pretty much you decide which role you're going to be, and you get those according to it. Although Naga does have a good chance at transitioning into a core late game with the Radiance build, so you just have to pick deciding on if you're going to go extremely late or not. Ninja's Prophet, no nerfs. That's pretty sad considering he's so good in the offlane right now. 30 damage or 30 movement speed. Most likely getting the damage, plus for Treants gives you more push. This gives you more health if you're dying too much. So right click here, 40 attack speed gives you more push. This gives you more lockdown and more escape. Or both of these are great for pushing, depends on what you need. And Ghost Shred slow reduced, so it's really good nerf to Necro. That lasted way too long. Ghost Shred bonus magic damage is increased, so he takes more damage, so Doom's a great pick against him still. Heartstopper Orb reduced, good. He can't just sit in lane and kill people. But the it even got nerfed on the damage. Okay, so it's less damage early, but more late game. So that's a good change. Reaper's Scythe cooldown increased, and Mana Cross is increased at the early levels. And we have 10 strength, 40 damage, 30 movement speed. So you basically support core. You probably get the movement speed every single time because he's such a slow hero. Get the magic resist if you're dying to magic burst. And Death Pulse cooldown if you need the extra health.